no charge. Our new all-access subscription includes Point Spread Weekly, VSiN's digital magazine designed to make you a better handicapper and avoid the agony of defeat. You'll also get VSiN's 140-plus page college football betting guide, followed by our comprehensive pro football betting guide in August. Sign up now, vsin.com/subscribe. That's vsin.com/subscribe. Remember, cashing tickets is what it's all about.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
Let's go for it. I'm going to go with Canelo. I'm going to say that the first time he went in with all the other stuff, I laid it all out there because you got to see it all. But the first time, he didn't know if he belonged going into that fight. I'll say it again. He didn't know. But he won some of the late rounds. Why? Because he started to realize, yeah, you know what? I fit in here. Yeah, you know what? I belong. Yeah, you know what? I'm okay. And he's going to take, I would say, as a trainer, he should take that information, that confidence, and take it into the next fight where he knows early on that he belongs. He doesn't have to spend half of the fight finding out. And you know the psychological part of this business, 75% of it.
Here's another thing for you. Derek Carr, this could be his last season with the Raiders. They've got an out after this year. It's $7.5 million in dead money next season if they cut him. It's essentially a 2-year deal, $46 million. They owe him, I think, $19 million, fully guaranteed on the third day of the league year in 2019, which is March 15th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not going to be the least bit surprised if this doesn't work out, if they go ahead and dump him in the offseason so Gruden can get his guy.
Minnesota is going to be favored by 1 million here. 2 touchdowns is not enough. If it were 17, let me just jump to 17. Would people still bet the Vikings? No, they wouldn't. That would be a point of resistance. So it's somewhere in between 14 and 15. I as a sort of just a just mechanical thing, go 14.5, but I'm guessing it's going to be higher than that. It's somewhere in between the 14.5 and the 17. I don't know. I'll just throw out a number. I don't know. 16?
16 is what I'm going to open it, and that's.
See how we did that though? That's a very mechanical way of figuring that out.
But I'll tell you this: if the Hurricane does roll in and they play, but it like comes in light, and they play those games on Saturday, and any of the teams around here are home, mash the under, because every one of those games went under by an insane. Like, it wasn't even close. Like that NC State Notre Dame game. I mean, Deshaun Kaiser's got a cannon. He might not be the most accurate guy in the world, but he's got a cannon. He couldn't complete anything. And I would anticipate that the local games will stay under if they end up being played.
This is a numbers game with Gil Alexander, broadcasting only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network.
He's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
Analytics, statistics, and more are used to win wagers, and Gil has every number you need to cash your tickets. Now, live from the VSiN studios in the South Point Hotel and Casino, it's Gil Alexander.
But it's not. Gil Alexander gone again on a Wednesday, so that means the backup crew is here. Sam Panayotovich, Josh Towers, and from the ARIA, Race and Sports Manager, Jeff Hoose. Gentlemen, that crashing sound was my Colorado Rockies future bet, just kind of blowing away in the wind, Josh, after Chris Taylor goes yabo in the ninth inning, or 10th inning, actually, to win 3-2 against the Rockies.
Yeah, my 5-1 ticket I had on a bet last night went down the drain, too. Nolan Arenado played a stellar game with his 2 errors. The umpire did an awesome job of standing on third base, which I still can't figure out what he was doing there, except for he's too out of shape to get out of the way. And then runner on second base, 9th inning, no outs, and he ends up right there. Here's the other thing. What is Bud Black doing? Got 3+ ERA, 3.5 ERA versus righties. You got a low 2 ERA versus lefties. Kenley Jansen throws a cutter, which I don't want that jamming me. Nobody does. If you talk to any lefty, they'll tell you, can you stop throwing me cutters, please? So let's pinch hit those 2 guys and go over when you have a shortstop who you took out that was raking last night and playing well. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I think that we saw right away that the Rockies feel the pressure of maybe they're just not good enough to handle this.
I was really happy, Jeff, about 2 weeks ago. We were all on the set, and I told you about my William Hill bet on the Rockies at 7-1 to win the West, and you're like, yeah, well, the Dodgers are still there. They're not going anywhere, and here they are with a 1.5 game lead.
Yeah, and, Kershaw's never going to give you a lot, but last night, the Rockies, they cashed in on some poor fielding and a Charlie Blackmon home run, and they have a lead. And then collision with the umpire at third base and Charlie Taylor walk-off, and now they're looking at a sweep today. So big game for them.
This NL West, this NL Central, this National League wild card, Josh, this is exactly what you want if you're Major League Baseball. But I had another come-to-Jesus moment last night because I pay for MLB TV. And I thought, why would Major League Baseball want us to see the Dodgers and the Rockies? Half a game separation,
dude.
First place on the line, ninth inning, 2-2. I can't even watch it.
Listen, this is going to sound stupid. During our contract negotiations, I used to joke around my agent. I was like, listen, I need you to negotiate an extra $500 a year on my contract. And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I just got to pay my parents back for buying this stupid baseball package and they can never watch me play. You don't get any games. You get no games. A blackout date every single day somewhere, some way. We get no West Coast teams. The whole thing's a waste of money.
I was trying to watch it. I'm flicking through every channel. I pay Jeff for MLB TV, which is a Major League Baseball product.
As do I.
And we can't watch it. I have to go to the Aria to watch it.
Actually, we don't get the Dodgers either. I get to explain this to a new plane load of people every day. Sportsnet LA, they've been a long time dispute with most of the carriers in California, and they don't have a contract with Cox or DirecTV, so they're not on in this part of the world either.
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy. We can't watch baseball. We cannot watch it. No West Coast team. Sorry.
You know what we can do, Jorge? We can go up to the NL West and look at our season win totals here. So some of these teams have already cashed their tickets one way or the other. The Dodgers had the highest win total coming into the season pre-flop, 94.5. They have 84 with 10 left, so that will not happen. That officially was cemented. That one's going under, at least here at the South Point. The Padres, Josh, they're not getting to 73. They have 60 wins with 10 to go.
I don't think so.
But there are a couple teams that might get there. If the Rockies win one more game in their last 11, they'll go over 82. Diamondbacks need to go 7-3. Their win total closed 85. They've got 78. And the Giants, I don't think they'll go 10-0. I don't know. You tell me. Giants 10-0. 10 left. They got to win 10.
Listen, the Diamondbacks should have went over that like 3 weeks ago. And they felt the pressure a while ago. They got scared. Now the Rockies are feeling the pressure. And apparently Bud Black showing why he hasn't really won. He's a very 500 manager, but now it comes pressure time and he doesn't really know what to do, it looks like to me. The Rockies should have been over that 2 months ago. They should have been over that total. It's just bad watching some of the stuff. And then here come the Dodgers just dealing with injuries and dealing with all this stuff and players struggling and slowly just climbing that ladder. I do like the fact that Dodgers aren't getting over their win total, though. That's the only bet, man. Remember, we talked about this all offseason. It's the one I just didn't think that 96 and 95 was doable. And they're having a good year, obviously, but everybody was awesome last year at the same time. Everybody picked everybody up, and that's a very tough thing to do. And we saw there's that dumb play on TV, by the way. I'm watching that Rockies play versus the Dodgers last night where Arenado flips it to third. It's a tough thing for the Dodgers to do, but we're starting to see what made them special last year. You know, Chris Taylor hitting the home run like last night. Everybody's starting. Matt Kemp did some special things. You're starting to see this team click again.
I love this National League Central. The three best teams in the National League are in there, Jeff. And we could have, by the end of the day, when this season ends, we could have 4 teams in the NL Central go over their win totals. Cubs 93.5. They've got 89, so they need to go 5-6. Play the White Sox 3 times. That's probably pretty easy. Brewers already over 83.5. They've got 86. Cardinals, that win total 86.5. They have 84 with 10 left, so they need to go 3-7. Pirates already over. Reds won't go over. This division, 89 wins for the Cubs, 86 for the Brewers, 84 in the Cardinals. I think the Cubs probably hold everybody off, but you could have 3 teams from this division.
Yes, you can. The Cubs look like they're starting to pull away with it. Milwaukee's having a little bit of trouble in the series they're in right now, and they dropped the last series after winning 7 straight. But Cardinals look real strong last night. DeYoung and Molina picked up 5 RBIs. Gomer worked around in a Acuna solo home run, and the bullpen just rolled. And they got their first win of the season against the Braves. Braves are only 500 at home. In the model, you're supposed to kick butt at home and go 500 on the road, and it gets you to 90 wins.
They kick butt on the road. They're 45-30 on the road.
It's crazy. I mean, Te'Arine he's never been good at home. I don't understand that either because you're so much more comfortable, and you just factor that in. That's got to count for 5 wins a year at least. I'm not sure. It's crazy that they don't dominate there in that place. And I know they bounce around in different stadiums and stuff, but maybe the guest hotels making it way too comfortable for them visiting teams coming in, or maybe the visiting clubhouses are putting up too good of food, man. I'm telling you, something's going on.
Yankees won their 92nd game last night. They beat the Red Sox. J.A. Happ, another win for this guy. I looked at that lineup, though, JT, yesterday when they put Judge back in, right? You go McCutchen, Judge, Gregorius, Stan. Oh, you still don't like the lineup? I looked at the 9 guys in a row, and I thought, I don't want to face this lineup in the playoffs.
Oh, man, I saw the same thing. I would love to face that.
You would.
You're going to put McCutchen first? That's like a dream to me. That's like, okay.
Why?
That's a free out, 1 out, and then I got Judge up with nobody on. This is beautiful. Stanton's a free out. Like, that's what I see in my head when I see this lineup. That's why I liked the Red Sox so much last night. I thought, even though they didn't have Mookie in there's no Benintendi, I still thought that the Yankees lineup was not nearly as good. And then, anytime these guys come, that's why they had to get Judge back so early. Anytime these guys come back, it takes, I'm guessing on at bats, 20, 30 at bats, maybe more before you get into rhythm. It takes time before you get into rhythm. So you know that he's not going to do anything right away. He's going to be a little late, which he was on some pitching. So, I really like this, but, a 3-run homer on a hanging slider, which we're seeing a lot of, and there's the difference in the game. And the same thing, Red Sox had a runner on third base because Aaron Hicks decided I missed the ball. I misplayed it, so let me go ahead and take my time on getting to this ball. No hurry. So JD takes third, and then they can't get him in. And there's the difference in that game as well. That should have been a tie game late in the game. I'm telling you, these little things are starting to add up.
Do you agree with him on this lineup? You actually want to face this lineup? Jeff Hoose on the hill? You're looking forward to it?
He would know better, but he's talking about taking time to get back into rhythm. First at bat was a frozen rope. He hit it right at somebody.
He was late, though, but you see that? That just tells you how big and strong he is.
Yeah, first at bat was a frozen rope, and he just missed a home run, but it would have been one of those, Little League Yankee Stadium home runs, but he doesn't hit them like that. He hits no doubters. So, yeah, you could say he was a little late on that, but they needed him back. He'd been gone since, 48 games.
It's a long time, man.
Yeah, it's a long time. It's almost like a third of the season.
And
how good has J.A. Happ been?
Awesome.
Such a great pickup for them.
We saw Judgy getting those inner squad at bats like on the field, which live pitching I understand, but it's not the same as like maybe going down to AAA and getting a couple weeks, or actually coming back now in the major leagues and getting those. That's why I'm starting to wonder, what do we got, about 10 games left, if that's enough time to get him where he needs to be going into that wild card game. I would have loved to have seen him, and I think in a perfect world he came back like 2 weeks ago and got some AAA stuff. But it's so hard for these guys to face major league pitching when I'm facing an inner squad guy that I know what's coming. It's a lot different. It's tough. And I'll give it to you. He did a good job, but he was late.
Yeah, so the Yankee Stadium clubby gets to at least one more day from having to clean champagne out of the visiting team clubhouse carpet.
I watched that game last night. I had 2 questions, and they weren't about Red Sox Yankees. I just want to fast forward to the wild card game. I want to know, number one, who's going for Oakland? Who are they starting with no Manaea?
It has to be Fiers, man.
Does it really have to be Mike Fiers?
He's been the best on that team. What do they think? They could go bullpen day. They seem to be following the Rays and doing this.
If it's Severino and Fiers, Jeff.
It ain't Severino.
It's Happ. It's
Happ?
It has to be Happ.
I can't believe that we're saying that, considering everybody on the Yankees. But yeah, that's if you had it to do it today, you'd use Happ.
And these prices, you have to jack these up in the playoffs because this is do or die, one game, win or go home. Yeah. And we know that everybody's going to have that Yankees bet parlayed and whatever and anything. How high does that price have to go? It has to go over $2 at least, right? Yankee Stadium?
They play it in New York. Yeah, it's looking like they're going to play it in New York now. They're starting to pull away from Oakland a bit. Oakland's had a little bit of a struggle here. They're slumping at the wrong time.
$250, J.A. Happ? $225?
No.
Oh, it's at least $2.
Come on, Oakland's got their number.
This is a 90-something win team you're going to have with Oakland.
With Mike Fiers on the hill.
Hold on, Oakland keeps winning and Tampa Bay are losing, and Tampa Bay keeps winning. It might not even be Oakland. It might not even be them.
They're might want 5.5.
They might want to win a couple
if Ian
games.
Snell's pitching that game, it's not going to be minus 250.
No, he's not. No, that's not. They're not. We love
Tampa
Kevin Cash, but they're 5.5 out of Oakland. Jorge, what do you think that price is? Yankees against the A's. Maybe I'm crazy thinking it's over $2.
Minus 180.
180?
And we're jumping all over Oakland.
You guys are all shut out. Here we go. Wild card game. We give it to Mike Fiers, the guy who was pitching in Detroit.
Who's also like one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. We just don't like his name.
Little details, okay, Josh?
Yeah, he only wins. No big deal.
He's actually, if you look at the StatFox profitability chart, I laugh every time I look at this. They rank the pitchers in order of how much money they make you in Vegas. Mike Fiers, number 1 still in baseball, plus 18 units.
It's a local hero.
Yeah, we love him here. Some of us do.
20-9. when he starts.
The guy can pitch, man. He can pitch. He just doesn't have a name. He bounces around. We don't want to give him credit because he's not. He doesn't stand out. He doesn't throw 96. I understand he's not a popular name, but the guy flat out can pitch, and he gives them an opportunity to win every single day, and they seem to take advantage of it.
There you go. Fires number 1, Price number 2, Leak number 3, Lester number 4. This list via covers.com. Your top return on investment starting pitchers: Mike Fires, David Price, Mike Leak, John Lester.
It's not even close with Fires. Look at that, man.
If I gave you both a unit right now and said you could put this on one team in the National League to win the pennant, who would you take? One National League team to win the whole thing and go to the World Series. Take your time.
God, Chicago.
So ugly.
Cubs?
Yeah.
Just because I hate the Cubs, I'm not picking them. Just because I hate them.
Very great logic.
Yeah. Listen, I have no idea because it's so close, and I can make a case for all. I'm rooting for the Cardinals.
South Point has the Cubs plus 180. Dodgers 2-1, Braves, Rockies 5-1, Brewers 6-1, Cardinals 10-1, D-backs 15-1. I think I can stop there. I'm telling you right now, don't bet the Pirates at 400-1. That should be 4 million to 1. They're not making the postseason. Cubs at plus 180. That's what Jeff Hoose wants.
That's not a bad play. I mean, listen, they have a well-rounded team that they never get into slumps. The problem is the Dodgers are heating up at the right time. We don't know if Atlanta's just coasting into the playoffs or not. The Rockies crossed them out after what's happening in this series. They seem to not want it. I mean, they're right there, but they seem to not want it. Listen, it's up for grabs. It really is.
Jeff Hoose, Josh Towers, Sam Panayotovich just getting started here on a numbers game. We're in for Gil today on this Wednesday. Up next, we'll talk some golf with Brady Kannon from VSiN.
It's a numbers game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, @BeatingTheBook and @VSiNLive.
When was the last time you replaced your toothbrush? Do you always brush twice a day for a full 2 minutes? Don't lie. If you lie, I'll find out. Paying attention to these good habits has a huge impact on your health. Introducing Quip, spelled Q-U-I-P, the new electric toothbrush that helps to fix the brushing habits most people get wrong. Quip does this with a lightweight and a sleek design, simple timed vibrations, and guiding pulses to give you a perfect 2-minute clean. Bulkier brushes have awkward charging stands, they have modes you don't need, and sometimes they cost 5 times as much, but not Quip. Quip starts at just $25, and you get brush head refills automatically delivered on a dentist-recommended 3-month schedule for only $5, and shipping is free. Quip has been featured in GQ, Oprah's O List, and Time Magazine named it one of the best inventions of the year. Go now to getquip.com/game right now and get your first refill pack free with a Quip electric toothbrush. That's your first refill pack free at getquip.com/game. Spell it out, GETQUIP.com/game, getquip.com/game.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
I want to thank you for dropping by. I also want to wish you the best of luck. Yes. Not to mention, I've got a ticket in my pocket on you.
I got to tell you something real quick before you wrap up. I can't tell you how many times I get fans that come to me and they say, "Hey, Brad, good to see you. Do well today." And I say, "Yeah, thanks, I was." I said, "No, I mean it. Do well. I got money on you." Let me promise you, anyone here today listening or in this room, no one has more money on my finish today than me.
Thank you.
So I am properly motivated.
Excellent.
But they're replacing a 4,100-yard passer in Sam Darnold, who started his first game of his NFL career, a 1,500-yard rusher in Ronald Jones, an 1,100-yard receiver in Deontay Burnett. So, guys like that, even though they've got the true freshman receiver and obviously the true freshman quarterback in JT Daniels, it's going to take some time. These guys don't just automatically come in there and plug in. But I don't think either one of them are just real close. But I would have to say USC is maybe a little bit closer to national prominence at this point than Texas.
But I'll start with one that I did bet earlier in the week that's still available, is Iowa State at plus 17.5. My number's 13.38, and so when you're getting Matt Campbell's team with that big of an edge in the numbers, in Kyler Murray's first road test on the road, I know a lot of people are going to hype up. I think it was last year when Iowa State went into Oklahoma and actually upset the Sooners, and it's a revenge spot or whatever. I think that's why maybe it's partially inflated in the market. I just think the number's way too high. Similar, I guess UCLA last week having this massive number against Oklahoma, which they wound up covering too. So I'm totally fine having Iowa State getting 17.5.
It's a Donald Ross design, so ball strikers usually prosper here. Some of the past winners of the Tour Championship, Henrik Stenson, Justin Rose, also Rory McIlroy. So you're looking at a lot of the ball striker types and guys that keep it straight, hit it in the fairway, and hit a lot of greens. So that's really what you're looking at for the Tour Championship, and kind of the one that stood out to me. I mean, with only 30 players in the field, you're probably going to end up on somebody somewhat chalky.
Back to a numbers game with your host, Gil Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
Learn from the best. Subscribe now to Point Spread Weekly, a digital magazine from the Vegas Stats and Information Network, and we try to make you a better. We provide key stats and betting trends for college and pro football matchups, exclusive analysis including 3 sets of power ratings, best college and NFL plays of the week for VSiN's on-air experts. But we also have golf with our guy Brady Kannon, NASCAR Jeff Culiandro. Anything you need to bet on. We try and inform you and educate you with Point Spread Weekly. You can sign up right now for a free trial at vsin.com/betfootball. How fitting that we go from a Point Spread Weekly read to Brady Kannon, who writes for Point Spread Weekly. You can hear him all the time on vsin.com and Sirius XM 204. Brady, welcome back. It's Sam, Josh, and Jeff. This Tour Championship sets up chaos for the FedEx Cup. You've got 5 players, DeChambeau, Rose, Finau, Johnson, and Justin Thomas, who are all right there, and they can all cinch that top spot with a win.
Yeah, you know what, Sam? It's pretty interesting. The PGA Tour has a little bit of a problem on their hands here where, only 5 guys, who can win this tournament win it without any other complications. As you go further down the list, all kinds of scenarios have to happen if some guy from back in the pack wins it. And, what if Kevin Na goes on to win it and, he wins the FedEx Cup or something? Does he really deserve something like that is supposed to be representative of a year-long, success on the tour? So it was just announced yesterday that they're changing the Tour Championship next year. And depending on how many points you go in with and how well you've done in the playoffs, how well you do in majors, how many top 10 finishes, all that kind of stuff, they're going to set the field for the Tour Championship where the guy that leads, in that case this year it's Bryson DeChambeau, they'll start him off at like 10 under par. And then the next guy's 9 under par. So it's like they're spotting them points or shots to begin the tournament. And then the guy that, is number 30 on the list or something, he'll start at even par or +4 or whatever it is. And then the guy that wins the tournament will win the Cup. No questions asked, no funky scenarios. So it's kind of interesting. They're going to handicap the field, if you will. And that'll be cool to look at, I think, next year. It'll be a little bit more fair format. I don't know if it's a perfect system just yet, but they're really trying to have that final tournament winner be the true FedEx season-long champion. And I think they're getting closer to a perfect system.
Brady already lost me with that. You almost lost me. You know how much I love to lay on the couch and watch golf on Sundays, but Jesus, you almost lost me with that format. I don't think I'd be interested at all. For me, I never understood it too, because you got these guys all year, DJ and all these guys that have these top 10s, top 3s, top 2s. It's awesome. They're racking up the points, and all of a sudden you get into the postseason. And if I'm not mistaken, last tournament and this tournament, aren't they worth 2,000 or 2,500 when the rest of the tournaments are all worth about 500 points?
Yeah, that's screwy too.
That's
and
my
I think
problem.
They have to change that. And last year Justin Thomas finished second in the Tour Championship, but he won the FedEx Cup,
right.
And it's a little anticlimactic, So, and I should probably try to explain it better. But let's say this year you have DeChambeau up top, Justin Rose is second, Finau third, or whatever. DeChambeau's going to start the tournament before he hits the ball at 10 under par. And Rose is going to be 9 under, and Thomas is going to be 8 under, and Finau 7 under, or whatever. And then they just play from there. And, whoever wins will be the winner. So, again, I don't know if it's a perfect system yet, but we'll see how it plays out next year.
Brady, forgive me for looking ahead. It's an unusual tournament because all of these guys are about to hop on a plane to Paris immediately afterward. And when I was discussing this tournament with the golf guys I know, they wanted to talk about parlaying this week's winner with the Ryder Cup, particularly Justin Rose. Now, we don't have that on the board at our shop, but I would love to know if you have an opinion on a guy that could win the Tour Championship and excel individually in Paris next week.
Well, Rose, with his loss in a playoff last week, ascended to the number one player in the world, and he's never been number one in the world before. And I got to believe that's going to motivate him this week and going into the Ryder Cup. I tell you, Jeff, the Ryder Cup this year, I think is going to be one of the best we've seen in a long time. Both teams are just absolutely stacked with talent. You've got Justin Rose, Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm, Tommy Fleetwood, Alex Noren, on the other side. And then on this side, you've got Koepka and DJ and Spieth and Tiger, of course. I mean, it's really just going to be an amazing competition. The Ryder Cup is tough to bet, though, because it's hard enough to pick a head-to-head matchup with player A against player B. But in the Ryder Cup, you have a lot of two-on-twos. So then you've got to try and handicap four players, and how are those two going to play together? So it's really tough from a betting perspective. Obviously you can bet who's going to win, Europe or the U.S., and then you get down to the Sunday singles matches, but you hardly have any time to prepare. So I'm going to sit back and watch the Ryder Cup, and I think what ought to be really an awesome competition.
Brady Kannon with us on VSiN. It's a numbers game at Las Vegas Golfer. He writes and handicaps golf for Point Spread Weekly. Before the Ryder Cup, which, by the way, has been driven up to the USA minus 210 at the Westgate, Europe plus 175. Before the Ryder Cup, though, as Jeff said, the Tour Championship. That'll be this weekend. East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta, and your favorites are as follows. These are MGM odds. Justin Rose 6-1, DJ and McIlroy 8-1, Tiger also 8-1, Justin Thomas 10-1, Brooks Koepka 10-1, Ricky Fowler 14-1, Finau, Day, and DeChambeau 15-1. When you look at that list, Brady, what jumps off for you?
I tell you what, Sam. It's only a 30-player field, so we might not normally look at a guy that's 8 or 10-1, but when he's only playing against 29 other guys, those aren't as bad of numbers as we might think in a regular tournament with 150 players in the field. So even if you go further down the board and you might see Bubba Watson at 35 or 40-1, just on paper, that's a good number when there's only 30 guys in the field, and Watson's won 3 times this year already. Webb Simpson is another guy that has a tremendous success at Donald Ross courses. The Wyndham Championship is played at Sedgefield Country Club every year in Greensboro or North Carolina, and Webb has had tremendous success at that tournament, and you can find him here in this event at about 20 or 25-1. And I really, as far as the short shots, we talked about Justin Rose becoming the number one player in the world in a great week last week, and the week before that he finished second as well. He plays tremendous on Donald Ross courses. It was Aronimink in the Philadelphia area last week that he finished second, and he's won at that course before back in 2011, I believe it was. And here at East Lake, he has 5 straight top 10 finishes. So this guy really knows this type of course design. Obviously, he's peaking right now as far as his current form. So even at 6 or 8-1 against a short field, I don't think that's such a bad price. And the other guy at the top of the board I like is Rory McIlroy, who's been playing very well as well and has also had success here at the Tour Championship. He won it back in 2016. So, while those odds, like I say again, might not look so attractive in a normal tour event, when you're only playing a field of 30, it's not so bad.
Hey, Brady, I'm sorry, I was blanking that I didn't hear Tiger Woods' name in there.
No.
Did you forget the winner? Hey, what a way to cap off a season. Go ahead and win this. Head on over to Paris, win that, and then end up here in Vegas and whoop on Phil for a little bit. The odds are getting a little bit more in Tiger's favor, and then you just cap off a great year and have a good Christmas, right?
Well, I don't think you're that far off from what could happen. He had a fantastic week 2 weeks ago at the BMW. He was I think he was tied for the lead for just a very short time in that tournament and just faltered down the stretch a little bit. That's kind of been the story for Tiger really since the PGA Championship, getting himself right into or near the lead and then just missing a shot or two down the stretch. But he is that close, and I would expect him to play well again here this week, Josh. I think he is. I think last week we really saw him motivated by the fact that he was selected to compete in the Ryder Cup. I think he's really fired up for that. Like I said, it's going to be such an excellent competition, and for him to be included, I think that kind of spurred him on in these current tour events. It's the ongoing problem with Tiger, though, and Jeff and Sam, you guys know this too. I think you said he was at 8-1 against guys like DJ and Rory and Rose. I just don't know if I put him in that company yet, but the odds on Tiger are always so beat up because everybody loves to bet him. I could see him more of a 12 or 15-1 shot in this tournament. So you're never getting great value on Tiger, but on the other hand, I agree with you. This guy could win this week. He could roll that into a Ryder Cup victory with his team and roll right into Thanksgiving in Shadow Creek for sure.
And then we'll all wake up from our dream.
Hey, Brady, we've done the obligatory Tiger Woods segment with Josh. I know you love that. Now let's talk about the odds for matchups this week. Which matchups are you looking at?
Well, I think this is an interesting one. And again, I said there's only 30 guys in the field this week, but the odds makers have made matchups just about every which way you can imagine. So if there's one golfer you're high on this week and there's another golfer that you're wanting to fade, you can probably find a matchup that pits the two of them together. And what I have found is a matchup with Francesco Molinari against Bryson DeChambeau. And Molinari won the British Open. He won 3 tournaments in the span of like 5 weeks earlier this summer. He had a great week last week where he finished 8th at the BMW. And, he's kind of regained that stride after, I think, experiencing a bit of fatigue. And he does well on these type of courses. So I think he's going to have another good week. And then DeChambeau, it's a little bit more of a psychology handicap there. He's leading the FedEx Cup in points, and he's never been in that position before. Of course, he won the first 2 playoff events this season. And I think all the pressure's on him. With all these guys clawing at him, Justin Rose, Rory McIlroy, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, that's kind of unfamiliar territory for this guy, and I think he's going to feel the pressure in that catbird seat. He's shown that he can handle that before, but I think this is a real tough test for him, and I wouldn't expect him to really flourish in that position. So I'd be looking to go against DeChambeau and go with some guys against him that are really in good form, like a Rose or a Molinari. And, sometimes the prices are going to be a little bit out of whack, but Molinari, I think you can find roughly around a pick'em in that matchup with DeChambeau.
You can follow Brady on Twitter at Las Vegas Golfer. Read him in Point Spread Weekly on VSiN.com. Brady, great stuff per usual, and I'll see you on Sunday, buddy. Thanks for doing this.
Sounds good. Thanks, Sam.
It's Brady Kannon, VSiN golf handicapper and writer for Point Spread Weekly. Up next, we'll look at some of the bigger baseball games on the slate. And Jorge pinned me down and told me we have to talk Champions League. So I studied for about 10 minutes last night. You don't want to miss this the next half hour.
It's a numbers game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, @BeatingTheBook and @VSiNLive.
I'm Brent Musburger, reminding you that the football betting season is here. There is nothing like it. Are you ready to celebrate the thrill of victory and cash a ticket even on defeats? Sharpen your edge now with the help of Matt Humans, Dave Tooley, and the rest of my guys in the desert. We'll get you prepared for the football season with exclusive handicapping stories and data that you won't find anywhere else. Go to vsin.com/subscribe for the package that makes sense for you, including a 1-week trial at no charge. Our new all-access subscription includes Point Spread Weekly, VSiN's digital magazine designed to make you a better handicapper and avoid the agony of defeat. You'll also get VSiN's 140-plus page college football betting guide, followed by our comprehensive pro football betting guide in August. Sign up now, vsin.com/subscribe. That's vsin.com/subscribe. Remember, cashing tickets is what it's all about.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
Let's go for it. I'm going to go with Canelo. I'm going to say that the first time he went in with all the other stuff, I laid it all out there because you got to see it all. But But the first time, he didn't know if he belonged going into that fight. I'll say it again. He didn't know. But he won some of the late rounds. Why? Because he started to realize, yeah, you know what? I fit in here. Yeah, you know what? I belong. Yeah, you know what? I'm okay. And he's going to take, I would say, as a trainer, he should take that information, that confidence, and take it into the next fight where he knows early on that he belongs. He doesn't have to spend half of the fight finding out. And you know the psychological part of this business, 75% of it.
Here's another thing for you. Derek Carr, this could be his last season with the Raiders. They've got an out after this year. It's $7.5 million in dead money next season if they cut him. It's essentially a 2-year deal, $46 million. They owe him, I think, $19 million, fully guaranteed on the third day of the league year in 2019, which is March 15th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not going to be the least bit surprised if this doesn't work out, if they go ahead and dump him in the offseason so Gruden can get his guy.
Minnesota is going to be favored by 1 million here. 2 touchdowns is not enough. If it were 17, let me just jump to 17. Would people still bet the Vikings? No, they wouldn't. That would be a point of resistance. So it's somewhere in between 14 and 15. I as a sort of just a just mechanical thing, go 14.5, but I'm guessing it's going to be higher than that. It's somewhere in between the 14.5 and the 17. I don't know. I'll just throw out a number. I don't know. 16?
16 is what I'm going to open it, and that's.
See how we did that though? That's a very mechanical way of figuring that out.
But I'll tell you this: if the Hurricane does roll in and they play, but it like comes in light, and they play those games on Saturday, and any of the teams around here are home, mash the under, because every one of those games went under by an insane. Like it wasn't even close. Like that NC State Notre Dame game, I mean, Deshaun Kaiser's got a cannon. He might not be the most accurate guy in the world, but he's got a cannon. He couldn't complete anything. And I would anticipate that the games will stay, the local games will stay under if they end up being played.
Back to a numbers game with your host, Gil Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
7:33 here on a numbers game. Gil is off. Sam Panayotovich, Josh Towers, and Jeff Hoose, race and sports manager from the ARIA, kind enough to join us on a Wednesday here at VSiN. Let's look at the baseball games, and these are the games that are relatively important because there are a bunch today that nobody cares about. We'll start with Colorado and the Dodgers, and this thing is starting to get away from my Colorado Rockies, Josh Towers.
Oh, it is. It is.
Who I need to have the National League West to cash that 7-1 ticket. But today, Dodgers looking to go 3 for 3 against the Rockies, and they give it to one of their best young pitchers, Walker Buehler. Tyler Anderson goes for the Rockies. Game is in Los Angeles, and the Dodgers minus 220. Total on the game, 7.5.
Bro, once again, every time Walker pitches, now I know I've said this many times, it's still crazy to me to think that Walker Buehler is still on the same team as Manny Machado right now. How he wasn't a guy involved in any of those trades just let you know that everybody else who traded the Dodgers made very bad decisions. This is the only dude you should have wanted. He's awesome. 0-1 with the 3-2-4 and 4 starts versus the Rockies. So a little success as far as runs. They haven't got him any wins. He did go 8 shutout last game. He's got a 1.53 in August. He had a 2.2 in September. The kid's just hot. And Anderson went 6 innings, 2 runs last game, but he had a lengthy struggle with getting guys out in essence. He said he went through some mechanical issues and he went back and he worked on them. And last game it worked out. Yes, you have to make those adjustments, obviously, but the last thing I need is a pitcher thinking about mechanics, and now he's got to go out there and he has to beat the Dodgers today since the Rockies blown 2 in a row. This is a tough game for the Rockies.
Yeah, you said it. The only thing standing between the Rockies and a critical late-season sweep is a guy who hasn't won a game since July 4th.
That's it.
It's not it. Not great.
Yeah, it's not great, especially he's up against Buehler. You said it. 8 shutout innings against the Cardinals. Shut him down. He's pitching great. Very tough spot for Anderson. Let's see what he can do today.
And pressure doesn't seem to really phase this kid either, especially at home pitching in that building. Buehler's ERA at home, 1.62 this year. Not bad.
Hey, BJ Ryan always said it, man. All I've seen pressure do is push water up a hill. It's what you put on yourself, and apparently Walker Buehler feels nothing.
2 lefties on the hill. This game will be in Arizona. Cubs and the Diamondbacks, the fading Arizona Diamondbacks, who may be up and down with this win total. Who knows if they find their way over this win total. 78 and 74. They were world beaters in April. They were good in May, and here we are in September, and they are at the bottom looking up as far as the top 3 in the National League West. Cubs a dog, though, in this spot, and they've won 4 of their last 5. Robbie Ray goes for the D-backs. Hamels for the Cubs, minus 115, Josh, on Arizona.
Listen, that's why I love studying games. And then I look at lines when we get here, and I'm in shock that the Cubs are they're dogs. Jeff, this is a prop that y'all should have put up, was which team was going to fade first, the Diamondbacks or the Rockies, and obviously the Rockies won. They don't want the division more than anybody. They did the same thing that the Rockies did. They went to L.A., blew every game late, and then now they're out of it. Hamels has been awesome, dude. He still has been good. I mean, 6 quality starts in his last 9. 8 outs away from having 9 quality starts because he went like 5 and then 5 1/3, but he only gave up 2, I think, in those games. I mean, he's been awesome. No wins this month. Same thing like Walker Buehler. He's got a low 3 ERA, but no wins to show. And then Robbie Ray is finally pitching better. Jeff, kind of like we talked about Aaron Judge, it's going to take time. It took time for Robbie Ray to get into rhythm, but now he's doing it. 2 or fewer runs in 5 straight. He's 1-0 this month. Last month. He's 1-0 this month as well. It took time, but he's got to keep his pitch count down because, once again, he's going 5 and 6 innings, and as we've seen lately, we don't want this Diamondbacks bullpen to play.
No, yeah, you've got 2 teams going in opposite directions. D-backs fading from the race, held to 4 hits. They dropped 14 of 18, and the Cubs are rolling. You're seeing things like, Rizzo grinding out 17 pitch at bats and then hits an absolute laser. He hit it right at somebody, but it's still. And then Murphy's going down, and you mentioned this on Twitter. Murphy going down and inside and crushing those inside pitches, looking like it's 2015.
Dude, I mean, you saw the way he hit. His body stayed perfect and rotated, and he hits a pitch that most people hit off their ankles, and he's hitting it in the seats. And we've seen Murphy do this before. When he gets that locked in, it's game over. You can't pitch to him.
Since 2016, the strength of this team, though, in the postseason has been their bullpen. 16, they have Chapman. 17, they have Davis.
Right.
This year, I don't know if you saw this yesterday, you listening, driving around right now, the Cubs shut down their closer, Brandon Morrow, for the season. He was supposed to be back in the beginning of September. And last week, Joe Madden pinch hit Pedro Strop, his most reliable pitcher, who grounded into a double play and popped his hamstring running to first base. So you're down Morrow, you're down Strop. Is Steve Cishek closing games in October?
He might be. He's
Jorge De La Rosa, Randy Rosario.
Could be all of them. He said closer by committee.
But that's what he's done, too. That's what makes Madden so good, is he's tried all these guys in these situations already. 1, to see what they can do, and 2, to make the moment not as big. He's not going to throw him in that situation in the postseason and be like, oh, surprise, you're closing. He's already given Rosario's close. He's given every one of them an opportunity to already get that feeling underway so that they're, in essence, at ease when the postseason rolls around. So he's more prepared. And that's what a lot of managers don't do. They don't prepare for the future. Madden has done that.
So no concerns about the bullpen?
There's always concerns about the bullpen because you see the postseason, every starter is going to go 5 or less innings. Managers never let starters go deep, so you're going to use your bullpen the entire time. So there's always concern, but at least he's prepared these guys a little bit more than usual.
Brewers at home against the Cincinnati Reds. Matt Harvey trying to play spoiler tonight as the Brewers give the ball to Gio Gonzalez. It still feels strange to say that. Brewers give the ball to Gio Gonzalez, who they acquired from the Nationals about a month ago. And you're looking at Milwaukee right here. They're hot. They are hot right now. And Gonzalez, open minus 180 globally, bet down to 165. Total on the game is 9. Josh, Milwaukee, they have lost 1 in a row. And when that happens with the Cubs in the division, you drop a game. 3.5 out of the Central and 2 up on the wild card.
Yeah, they got to hold on to this, man. Harvey's been, it's pretty cool watching Harvey because he couldn't get anybody out, and he had his struggles in New York, and it was more, there was off the field things. Every month that he's been a Red, he's had a 500 record or better, which is kind of impressive given this is a guy that we faded every single time he took the ball. So, kudos to him. I still don't understand why the Reds didn't trade him and get something in return since they got him for free. I thought that was crazy since they're not going anywhere. And then Gio, listen, he can't go 6 innings no more. He's not even doing that. I know part of that's the manager for the Brewers. He doesn't like his starters to go past 5, 6 max anyway, so it's not all his fault, but when you start to steal the confidence of a pitcher away, they lose that quickly, and now they question, is it me or is he just pulling me? So Gio's not going well. His walks are up. He's 1-4 with the 7 in August. He's 1-1 versus the Reds this year, so it's not like he's dominating this team. I really don't know where to go in this game.
Yeah, you were talking about Harvey. He has been solid in September. He's pitching to a 2.50 ERA. Brewers have had some success against him, though. They put up 9 runs in 14 2/3 innings early this season. Brewers had won 7 straight series. If they lose today, they've lost 2 straight sets in a row, though. So
Not the right time.
Wrong time to slump.
Not the right
This
time.
would be the year to go at the King, right? To go at the Cubs, and they can't put this
Nobody wants
hobbled
it.
team away.
Remember when the Rays won a few years back, and they finally were like, why can't we beat Boston? Why can't we beat the Yankees? Well, no one's done that yet to the Cubs. No one's done that yet. It doesn't seem like to the Dodgers. Everybody's still like, they're doing the same thing we're doing. They're going, oh, here come the Dodgers, here come the Cubs, and they fade. I don't understand it. Listen, both these teams prove that they're beatable, and no one wants it.
So the Cubs have 1 left against the Diamondbacks. That's tonight. We mentioned Hamels and Ray. Then you go to the White Sox for 3, and they could clinch this division on the south side, which would make me cry on the inside. Pirates for 4 at home. Steelers. Cardinals for 3 at home. That'd be something. If
They would prefer to
That'd
play
be a
the Steelers.
basketball type reference right there. Intersport play. Milwaukee, they get the Reds one more time, and then 9 on the road at Pittsburgh, at St. Louis, at Detroit, and St. Louis.
You know how hard that series is to finish 9 on the road. Families packing up stuff. You're not sure where you're playing. You're not sure if you're playing. What do I do? Do I pack? Do I still have my rental? Like, there's so many questions that come here. And now you got to go in Detroit the last 3 games of the year. You have no idea what lineup they're putting. You don't know who to prepare for. You got kids you've never heard of. Listen, this is going to get very difficult for the Brewers.
What's their ceiling? Milwaukee's ceiling this year. What is it? How far can they go?
Well, right now they're praying to get in the playoffs. And they look good. Obviously, the wild card, they have an opportunity still at the division. So, given the fact that the Rockies only have 82 wins, they got 86. I mean, they're in a good spot, all of them. But with the way Council manages, first round at best.
Jeff, if you look at the Cardinals roster right now, and I told you before the season that they lose Reyes for the year, they lose Waka, Martinez would be in the bullpen. They wouldn't have a lot of their arms in that rotation. They're throwing a lot of rookies, and they fired their manager in July. Where would you have had this team? Probably not 84 and 68.
No, when they fired their manager, it really changed gears there when they got Matheny out, and it just turned their season around. And you look at the way they're going into Atlanta, playing a first-place team, and handling them pretty easily right now, and playing really good ball. And I know you asked us earlier who we liked, and I went with the Cubs, but had to give a serious thought to St. Louis.
Jorge, what do you got?
Just to screw up on my part, and I have to admit it, they actually finished 6 of 9 on the road. The last series is at home against the Tigers, so that was my fault.
You're fired.
I know. That was
changes.
my
That changes everything.
Changes your status at this company.
I know.
That changes a lot.
But now the narrative has changed, Josh, because in St. Louis, now they're looking at if they don't make this, they don't make this postseason, people will look at it as a failure. Their win total was only 83.5, so Vegas didn't think that highly of them. And now with a bunch of guys that we've never heard of coming into the season, starting every day, you made a bunch of trades. For them to be 84 and 68 and give these young pitchers, as you know, giving these young kids, the Gombers and the Ponce de Leons and the Gants and the Michaelis isn't that young anymore, but to give these guys experience in pressure situations only helps them going forward.
Listen, the expectation for the Cardinals coming in was to win the division. It wasn't playing second fiddle to any one of these two teams. That was the expectation. They actually underachieved big time. Matheny underachieved with that team. There was too many problems internally. And that's why this team is always somewhere around successful, is because they're willing to make moves. So finally, listen, you got a problem, you're bickering, you're not getting your job done, beat it. You guys aren't getting your job done, beat it. I'm going to find somebody else to replace this entire bullpen. Hey, listen, we can't have you coming back every time in the rotation when you're hurt and you not get it done. So I'm going to put you in the bullpen, Carlos. He turns out to be, kind of like John Smoltz. He loved it. So now he's doing this. Hey, how about you let me close? I might be good at this. Yeah, you know what? Go close. This might be awesome for you. So they made necessary adjustments to get back to the point that they always thought they should have been at, which is having a chance to win a division. So if they don't, to me, it was a failure.
Cardinals, by the way, tonight take on the Atlanta Braves, as Jeff tried to tell you. The Braves give it to Toussaint, and Jack Flaherty goes for St. Louis. The Redbirds, a small dog, open -110 each way, but now you see Flaherty and company. Actually, depending on where you look, either team could be favored. I see 105 each way at the South Point. Win has Flaherty favored. Golden Nugget has Toussaint favored. So pretty much coin flip game here, Braves and Cardinals in Atlanta. Toussaint, Flaherty, total 8.5.
If we're just looking at starting pitching, this is another game that I think the visiting team should be favored. Flaherty's given up 4 runs or less in every start this year, and 1 or less in his last 6 of his last 8. This kid's been awesome. Like you mentioned it, all these kids have been awesome for this team. And you got Toussaint who's pitching, and I recognize it's at home, and I recognize they lost, but He had 3 starts, then he went back to the bullpen for an inning plus or whatever it was. Now he's back starting again, so we already know how that happens, what works out there. And he's given a run up. He's actually given up 2 or 3 in every start and every appearance that he's had this year. So I got a kid going well, a team on the rise versus a kid who doesn't pitch well and a team fading. I don't understand why the Cardinals aren't favored.
I'm looking at this guy. He is super streaky. So Flaherty's last 3 decisions, the Cardinals lost all 3. Before that, he had won 5 in a row. Before that, he had dropped 5 of 6. Before that, he had won 3 out of 4. So he's very up and down.
Throws a lot of pitches too, doesn't he?
He does throw a lot of pitches. But his ERA at home, 2.74, road 2.84. I mean, this is a guy that they're going to have in that rotation for a while. Last 7 starts, Jeff, for Flaherty, a 1.93 ERA.
Yeah, and just 2.42 in the entire second half. So he's had some tough luck losses in there. He's pitched well.
St. Louis and Atlanta. Everybody will be watching that, right? Everybody in the National League Central trying to get closer and closer to the Cubs. Brewers trying to hang on, and the Cardinals just won't go away.
I love that it comes down to the last series of the year. You have no idea where you're playing. They can't schedule like hotels. They can't schedule flights. I think this is great.
Joji Bueno.
Jeff, with the pennant races this good, do you see an increase in the handle, or is it just regular baseball bettors at this point since everybody's betting football?
The general public goes away on the day they start playing football. But the sharps and the professionals and the guys who can hurt you, they keep betting. You know, the professional baseball bettor, that guy bets all through September. We lower limits usually in September because of the drop in volume and the September call-ups. The rosters change a bit and expand. But, yeah, the guys who are into it keep doing it.
And does the sharp action, do those guys continue through the playoffs, or do they kind of stop before the playoffs start? I know they're all different, but do you see a lot of action in the playoffs too?
The public comes back in sometimes in the playoffs, so you get the volume to balance it out.
It's Jeff Hoose from the ARIA, Race and Sports Manager. Josh Towers from VSiN. My name is Sam Panayotovich. Up next, Champions League with Jorge. Who's excited? Don't go anywhere. It's a numbers game here on VSiN.
It's a numbers game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, @BeatingTheBook and @VSiN Live.
Got a hot tip on a horse race? Bet it at ExpressBet.com. ExpressBet is legal, U.S.-based, and offers live wagering and video for more than 300 racetracks from around the world, including Gulfstream, Santa Anita, Naira, and more. And as a special offer for listeners, you can get a $20 sign-up bonus. That's right, $20 in house money to bet the races. Just visit ExpressBet.com/VSIN and sign up using promo code VSIN20. ExpressBet, the most trusted name in online betting. Must be 18 or older to open an account with ExpressBet LLC and reside in the state where such activities legal. Avoid your prohibited. National Gambling Support Line 866-522-4700.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
I want to thank you for dropping by. I also want to wish you the best of luck. Not to mention, I've got a ticket in my pocket on you.
I got to tell you something real quick before you wrap up. I can't tell you how many times I get fans that come to me and they say, "Hey, Brad, good to see you. Do well today." And I say, "Oh, thanks, I was." I say, "No, I mean it. Do well. I got money on you." Let me promise you, anyone here today listening or in this room, no one has more money on my finish today than me.
Thank you.
So I am properly motivated.
Excellent.
But they're replacing a 4,100-yard passer in Sam Darnold, who started his first game of his NFL career, a 1,500-yard rusher in Ronald Jones, an 1,100-yard receiver in Deontay Burnett. So, you know, guys like that, even though they've got the true freshman receiver and obviously the true freshman quarterback in JT Daniels, it's going to take some time. These guys don't just automatically come in there and plug in. But I don't think either one of them are just real close. But I would have to say USC is maybe a little bit closer to national prominence at this point than Texas.
But I'll start with one that I did bet earlier in the week that's still available, is Iowa State at plus 17.5. My number's 13.38, and so when you're getting Matt Campbell team with that big of an edge in the numbers, in Kyler Murray's first road test on the road, I know a lot of people are going to hype up. I think it was last year when Iowa State went into Oklahoma and actually upset the Sooners, and it's a revenge spot or whatever. I think that's why maybe it's partially inflated in the market. I just think the number's way too high. Similar, I guess UCLA last week having this massive number against Oklahoma, which they wound up covering too. So I'm totally fine having Iowa State getting 17.5.
It's a Donald Ross design, so ball strikers usually prosper here. Some of the past winners of the Tour Championship, Henrik Stenson, Justin Rose, also Rory McIlroy. So you're looking at a lot of the ball striker types and guys that keep it straight, hit it in the fairway, and hit a lot of greens. So that's really what you're looking at for the Tour Championship, and kind of the one that stood out to me. I mean, with only 30 players in the field, you're probably going to end up on somebody somewhat chalky.
Back to a numbers game with your host, Gil Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
Final segment of hour number one, a numbers game here on VSiN. Jeff Hoose, race and sports manager at the Aria. Josh Towers, Sam Panayotovich. At 8 o'clock, we'll hear from Mike Pereira, who was on with my guys in the desert yesterday about flags in the NFL and roughing the passer. We'll also get the MGM action report in football, and we've got prices on NFL division. So a lot of football coming up, 8 o'clock Pacific and 11 o'clock on the East Coast. But we turn our attention now to the Champions League, and the rundown says Champions League with Jorge. I hope we have music or something for this. Jeff, what's the action look like? Not only in Vegas, but worldwide MGM shops. How popular is the Champions League?
We don't have rights to the Champions League anthem?
I don't think we do. I don't think we paid the bill this month.
I love that they all stand there attentively and looking super serious when that plays before the game. Anyway, I would say the Champions League, it doesn't have the same amount of product as our sports leagues because it's a Tuesday, Wednesday league. And they only meet a couple times a month. But the days it meets, it rivals, baseball or the NHL.
Your odds at MGM to win the Champions League: Man City 3-1, Barcelona 4-1, Juventus 5-1, PSG. They won yesterday, right? Didn't PSG?
They
win
lost.
Oh, they lost.
Lost in the last minute.
Oh, in the last minute, they had the lead.
Thriller.
I thought 5-1, Real Madrid 6-1, Munich 8-1. Jorge, you're the soccer guy here. If I want to bet the Champions League, I rely completely on you, and I will fight you if you give me the wrong team.
Well, I gave the wrong team yesterday. I actually was on PSG because they had a great price on the road at Liverpool. Liverpool pulled it out at the end. They dominated the game. They actually deserved to win, but the PSG came back to draw. And then in the last minute, Liverpool won. Today, there are a lot of great teams playing, but there's not a lot of great action because there's a little bit of a mismatch. You've got Man City playing. You've got Bayern Munich playing. The real game of the day is Real Madrid. They're playing Roma, so that's a really good game. But what I'm going to be playing today are the props that you can play on the Play MGM app. And Jeff Hoose, you can talk about this a little bit. I'm going to be playing players to score in the Man City game. I'm looking at Gabriel Jesus. In the Bayern Munich game, I'm looking at a couple different players. In the Real Madrid game, I'm looking at Bale to score within the game. And you can get better prices on that than you can on the individual games. So that's what I like playing during the Champions League today.
Soccer is so far ahead, Jeff, with all the options you can do. And I've had friends that have gone overseas and gone to these games, and they get handed, like, here, you walk in, you sit down, here you go, here's all your menus, here you go. You can bet on who's going to score first, who's going to score last. Will you score, yes or no? They are so advanced with the soccer betting.
Yeah, the props can really, spice it up a bit because very often these are 1-0 or 2-1 or 0-0. And we have 3 outcome betting across the counter where you just pick, side A, side B, or the draw. With the props, it gives you so many different options to cash a ticket.
I want Lyon, 13-1. How dumb is that, Jorge? I just saw the odds there.
Lyon, yeah, that's one. That's
Lyon.
That's how dumb it was.
Lyon.
That's why I'm looking at different props. I think that's a better way to bet on some of these games versus the regular win, lose, draw. I mean, that's the better way. And like I talked about, Real Madrid-Roma is the key game today.
Jorge, why can't you just let him? Why can't you just leave it?
You had to just correct me, huh? It made me look super silly. Real Madrid
versus Roma. That's the key game later on this afternoon. And remember, everybody, this will be on TNT this year. TNT got the the Champions League rights. So if you want to watch them, either go to your favorite sports book or watch them on TNT.
Yeah, we might not have the game in English because they're not with Fox anymore.
That's
they have
fine.
new broadcast partners.
That's
so
fine.
yesterday I showed we had an Italian team playing a British team in Spanish. We had Tottenham playing Inter Milan on Galavision.
So to win the Champions League, Jorge, I have $100, and I give you $100, and I say, all right, put this on one team to win the Champions League. Who is it?
Well, I'm a unabashed Man City fan, so I would personally say Man City, but if I wasn't myself, I mean, you're looking at Barcelona 4-1. You're looking at – I thought PSG before yesterday, but the way they played yesterday, I don't like PSG anymore. So Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich are the 3 teams that I'd be looking at.
He's putting it in his pocket, and he's going to tell you he bet Man U and just –
He'll blame the guy that he isn't.
happen.
He'll blame that other guy that he just talked about. If I wasn't myself. All right, so Man City. So the Man City fan likes Man City at 3-1. All right, okay.
But the non-Man City fan likes Barcelona, Real, and Bayern. which is real chalky, but it is what it is.
Okay, that's Talking Soccer with Jorge. Up next, we'll talk football with Jeff Hoose from the Aria, Josh Towers, Sam Panayotovich here on VSiN.
It's a numbers game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, @BeatingTheBook and @VSiNLive.
If you want an edge over Las Vegas and the sportsbooks, BetQL available right now for download. It is the only app around that puts all the important research you need to make smart bets in one place, right in the palm of your hand on your smartphone. You can scroll up, scroll down, all the information you need available from our friends at BetQL. It gives you powerful data at your fingertips as well. With BetQL, you can easily access line movement, see how the lines have moved throughout the day, and the app provides access to public betting trends in real time. You can see where the public is at, where the sharps are at. BetQL built a powerful algorithm that gives you value bets of the day, too. They base these trends off of detailed recent and historical trends. The best part of it all, you can download BetQL for free from your Apple or Android device. Head to BetQL.co, BetQL.co. Download the only app you need to outsmart Vegas. One more time, BetQL.co. BetQL brought to you by the creators of RotoQL, the leading daily fantasy lineup optimizer trusted by 100,000 DFS players. You can also download RotoQL for free for both Apple and Android. To learn more, head to BetQL.co.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
Let's go for it. I'm going to go with Canelo. I'm going to say that the first time he went in with all the other stuff, I laid it all out there because you got to see it all. But the first time, he didn't know if he belonged going into that fight. I'll say it again. He didn't know. But he won some of the late rounds. Why? Because he started to realize, yeah, you know what? I fit in here. Yeah, you know what? I belong. Yeah, you know what? I'm okay. And he's going to take, I would say, as a trainer, he should take that information, that confidence, and take it into the next fight where he knows early on that he belongs. He doesn't have to spend half of the fight finding out. And you know the psychological part of this business, 75% of it.
Here's another thing for you. Derek Carr, this could be his last season with the Raiders. They've got an out after this year. It's $7.5 million in dead money next season if they cut him. It's essentially a 2-year deal, $46 million. They owe him, I think, $19 million fully guaranteed on the third day of the league year in 2019, which is March 15th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not going to be the least bit surprised if this doesn't work out, if they go ahead and dump him in the offseason so Gruden can get his guy.
Minnesota is going to be favored by 1 million here. 2 touchdowns is not enough. If it were 17, let me just jump to 17. Would people still bet the Vikings? No, they wouldn't. That would be a point of resistance. So it's somewhere in between 14 and 15. I as a sort of just a just mechanical thing, go 14.5, but I'm guessing it's going to be higher than that. It's somewhere in between the 14.5 and the 17. I don't know. I'll just throw out a number. I don't know. 16?
16 is what I'm going to open it, and that's.
See how we did that though? That's a very mechanical way of figuring that out.
But I'll tell you this: if the Hurricane does roll in and they play, but it like comes in light, and they play those games on Saturday, and any of the teams around here are home, mash the under, because every one of those games went under by an insane. Like it wasn't even close. Like that NC State Notre Dame game. I mean, Sean Kaiser's got a cannon. He might not be the most accurate guy in the world, but he's got a cannon. He couldn't complete anything. And I would anticipate that the local games will stay under if they end up being played.
This is a numbers game with Gil Alexander, broadcasting only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network.
He's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
Analytics, statistics, and more are used to win wagers, and Gil has every number you need to cash your tickets. Now, live from the VSiN studios in the South Point Hotel and Casino, it's Gil Alexander.
MIA, Gil Alexander. I don't know where he's at. Sam Panayotovich, Josh Towers, and Jeff Hoose, who is the races sports manager at the Aria on the Strip here in Las Vegas. Before we get to football, and Jeff, I know you have a whole lot of information about the action report at the MGM, and you have prices on division odds to win the divisions of the NFL. I just want to let everybody know, when you're a bettor, you need a support staff. You need friends. You need to be told that things are going to be okay when things go south. And my man Jeff Hoose, during the last break, said, hey, what's up with your buddy Kopech? And then Josh Towers, coming into the last break, said, hey, how many wins do you need for the White Sox over? You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine, buddy. I need 8-4. Oh, bleep. So thank you both for your continued support for the White Sox win total over.
And just for everybody listening, Kopech's, he's a pitcher on the White Sox. I know you don't know.
Oh, right, yeah. Most people wouldn't know that Michael Kopech is our top pitching prospect who blew his elbow out about 2 weeks ago, and I haven't slept since. But thank you guys both for your support.
If you're enjoying Chris Sale in Boston, you have Michael Kopech to thank because he's the guy that went back to Chicago in that deal.
Actually, a very funny retort. If you don't know who Kopech is.
He's young. You don't know. We'll know, 2 years? We'll know?
Oh, and now just to supplement the sorrows, Jorge wants to throw up MLB playoff races in the American League Central.
All he's saying is you have a chance. That's all Jorge's saying. He's being very optimistic.
Well, you don't have a chance if you got the closing number because, remember, this was one of the most popular bet totals.
That's crazy.
I bet at 66.5 over, and I thought at the time, hey, this is great. Close 72.5, but to go over the original opening number, I need 8-4 out of the White Sox, who play the Indians 6 times and the Cubs 3 times.
Yeah. I don't even know.
Thank you.
How did they get that schedule to finish?
Yeah.
Ouch.
I appreciate
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate all your support, both of you guys. All right, we heard from Mike Pereira yesterday. He was on with Brent Musburger on My Guys in the Desert. There have been so many conversations about the flags. Where do we hit quarterbacks? Do we hit them high? No. Do we hit them low? No. Apparently, we can't hit them in the middle anymore either. We'll hear from Mike Pereira. He was on VSiN yesterday.
All right, Mike, let me start off with what you thought of the call when you first saw it. When you looked at the videotape, Mike, did you agree with the call or disagree, and why?
I just cannot see how that can be a foul. I mean, I just can't see it. I mean, to me, what we have asked players to do is to lay off the area of the knee or below, stay away from the head or neck area, focus on the midsection. Don't lower your head and lead with the crown of your helmet, and don't lift up a player and drive him into the ground. None of that happened, Brent. This whole emphasis coming off of Aaron Rodgers' injury last year when he was hit by Anthony Barr, it's gone too far. That can't be a foul. And I get the whole player safety issue. I'm for player safety, but you have to let players play.
I agree with that. Have to let them play. And we've seen Kurt Warner, Hall of Fame quarterback, whose job was to put up points and put up offense. He says this is too bad. Joe Thomas, offensive lineman, taking shots at the NFL, saying we have to fix this. And we have this on VSiN.com and Fubo TV. 21 roughing the passer penalties this season. That is the most of the first 2 weeks of the season since 2001, and the previous high was 17. 21 roughing the passer penalties in 2 weeks.
When quarterbacks are saying this is bad, when offensive linemen are saying this is bad, you know it's bad. In that interview, right after that, I went on to ask Mike. I told him I was in Fenway one day, and I was throwing strikes. I thought I was throwing strikes, and I wasn't getting any calls. So in between innings, I went to the umpire, and I was like, "What? Something's got to give, dude. What did I make you mad? Like, what happened?" And he goes, "Josh, we have Quest Tech, and they're grading us off this. So if I don't shrink the strike zone and be a little bit tighter, I get graded bad. I don't want that. So I have to, in essence, shrink the strike zone." He goes, "It's not you." He goes, "You're actually throwing strikes. I want to call them. I just can't." And I said, "Well, I appreciate you being honest. There's nothing at that point I can do." So I went on to ask Mike if the officials are judged, if they're rated, how it goes. And I'm not quoting them, but yes, they are. And if they want to, officiate in the postseason, if they want to officiate in the Super Bowl, they got to keep their grades high or low, depending on how you look at it. So if they feel they should be calling this and they're not, they're graded wrong. So now these guys are going to start calling things that they don't necessarily deem penalties, but they have to because they want to obviously keep their job. They want to play. They want to ref in the postseason and do other things. So I said it last night. I kind of regretted asking the question because I didn't want the answer, even though I knew it was coming. And it's terrible. That Clay Matthews, I mean, listen, we see a steal shot on VSiN.com right now. He has Cousins around the waist with his right arm. His left arm comes off, and he actually plants in a push-up position so he does not drive him in the ground. You couldn't do more right than what Clay Matthews did on that tackle.
Jeff, as somebody who has to track numbers and look at spreads and totals on all these games, how does it affect the way you do your job, and what are you hearing in the sports book when people are watching these games and seeing pretty much a flag every third or fourth play?
A lot of groans. I think we said this the last time we were together. We kind of watch the game with a bit of detachment, but the room roars every time something happens, and then we always wait for it to come back because every every great catch turns out to not really be a catch, and every good defensive play turns out to be a penalty. It hasn't scared anyone off yet that I've noticed. That said, I don't take this for granted. If people perceive subjective officials' decisions to be ruining a game, a certain segment might refrain from betting that sport or even stop watching it. That having been said, this isn't a particularly new phenomenon. I mean, football's always been a holding flag away from nullifying greatness.
Packers have the most roughing the passer penalties, by the way. They have 4 in 2 weeks, and Matthews has a couple of those. Bengals 3, Saints 3, Vikings 2, and then a whole bunch of teams on the list here have 1. We have a lot of roughing the passer penalties, 21 through the first 2 weeks. When we look at the liability report, and last time we were all here, I think 2 weeks ago, you said you can't have any team near a legalized gambling state win the Super Bowl. Can't have the Saints, can't have the Giants. You don't want the Browns either, and the Raiders wouldn't help out here in Vegas, not to mention the 49ers would hurt too. As far as anything new, any new liabilities or anything that we can't have happen for MGM?
The futures liability is pretty similar to what we discussed last time. The real big change, well, in the event you don't listen every day, allow me to fill you in. The AFC contenders that we have a lot of liability on are the Browns, Texans, Jets, and Chiefs. And over in the NFC, the Cardinals, Bears, and 49ers. The Saints, we have a lot of futures liability on, but the new one is the Bears. Since that Mac trade, they made that Mac trade since the last time we spoke, and people started pounding that. So we have a good deal of futures liability on the Bears.
I saw them go down at one shop in town 18-1 before their week 1 game. I'm not sure exactly the number you have, but a lot of bookmakers around Vegas, Josh, they opened the Bears up like 75 or 100-1, and we've seen how mean this defense is. I don't know that I'm going to like to lay them as a favorite on the road. I know Arizona sucks, but I'm not laying 6.5 with Mitchell Trubisky. That said, when they're a dog, this defense should keep them in every game.
See, coming into the season, I was high on this team because of their defense. I thought this was a really good football team. I like Nagy, but they were good last year. They played a lot of good games at home. The problem is the Vikings, in my opinion, and then people think Green Bay. I'm not high on Green Bay, but the Vikings are ahead of them. So, yeah, you're not going to go and put them as a team that's probably going to be favored to win. So I'm making those odds, yes. Then you add one of the best, if not the best, defensive player in football, and that changes things. And now we're watching how good Nagy really is as a head coach and as an offensive play coordinator or caller. But then you got Trubisky, who can't hit anybody. If he at all learns how to throw to an open receiver, this team becomes very, very dangerous on top of what they already were building on from last year. So I like where this team's at. I think they're going to be competitive and be on in every game. And if they would have pulled that game out week 1, you don't know. I mean, who knows at this point?
Are you guys writing any tickets on Buffalo or Arizona on a week-to-week basis? I'm not saying futures. Let's not talk about futures because that'd be ridiculous. But when you talk about Arizona, last week against the Rams, I talked to Tony Miller at the Nugget. He said we couldn't write one ticket on Arizona. Buffalo was not getting a lot of support against the Chargers at home. You get these teams week 3. Anybody betting Buffalo? Anybody betting Arizona?
No, it's early. It's what, Wednesday morning right now? So it is still early. But one of the games that's already leaping out is the fact that the Vikings are laying 17 against the Bills. And this isn't an NFL game. That's like a college line between a Power 5 conference and a mid-major. It's early, but all the play in this game has come in on the side of Minnesota, despite that abnormally large and square number.
Wasn't there a lot of plays on the Bills, or a good number of plays on the Bills here? Because I thought the Bills opened at 7.5, and then it went down to 7 for the Chargers.
Every shop's different, of course. Yes.
Yeah, I thought I saw some Bills plays coming in on here on them, thinking, all right, 7.5 opposed to 7.
I'd need more. I'd want more.
No question.
I want more than 17. I could see this one being 24-3. I could see 27-6.
If the Vikings want to, they shut them out.
The thing is with the Vikings, though, Jeff, they have the Rams, I think, 4 days later, right? Don't they play the Rams on Thursday night? So that's a potential look-ahead spot.
And trust me, this is where well-coached teams come into play, or good coaches come into play, because it's easy for me to overlook the Bills, knowing I'm going to beat them. And if I don't, listen, it's 0-0 after 1, or we have a bad play and the Bills score, it's like, don't worry about it, we're going to get them. Don't worry about it, we'll get them. So the same emphasis isn't put on the Bills that it's going to be put on the Rams. You know what I'm saying? So I can easily see this team possibly staying within this number.
Jeff, as a bookmaker, is this a week where you're cheering for the Bills because every teaser, every parlay, everything is going to include the Vikings?
Yeah, when something like that happens, like if the Vikings slip on a banana peel, like in that first week where the Saints lost to Tampa Bay, or last week where I guess the Eagles lost to Tampa Bay, anyone loses to Tampa Bay, really. When that happens, it takes out all the really square public parlays and teasers. And a Bills win or even a Bills competitive effort would be really good for the shop.
I hate to break it to you. You're going to need more than banana peels for the Bills to beat the Vikings. You're going to need landmines and grenades.
Now, Josh, you just talked about the trap game. Has spending an entire week going, watch out for the trap game, watch out for the trap game, ever stopped the trap game?
No. It's crazy because honestly, you don't consciously think about it as athletes. I'm not thinking, we got the Bills. This is easy. You don't ever do that because I'm going through my exact same routine that I would to get prepared. But I might stay up an hour later this time, or I might go have a couple of drinks with dinner where, usually maybe I just went to bed. Or you're a little bit more relaxed this week than you typically would because you know that you're going to roll this team. And then next thing you know, you don't get out to the lead that you thought you would. So, yeah, it becomes dangerous, man.
This is the week 3 spot that I do not want any part of. This line before the season started, we had the CG gave out lines for every game. The line on Kansas City, San Francisco was Chiefs minus 2.5. And because Patrick Mahomes may never do anything wrong ever again, they are now 6-point favorites at the South Point. Some shops have 6.5. At what point do I buy on San Francisco here, plus the points?
Tyreek Hill said before the season started, we have the best running backs, the best wide receivers, the best quarterback, the best offense. Watch.
The best looking coach.
And so far, he's right.
I'm not laying 6.
He's still my second favorite, Pat Mahomes.
Mine too.
Do we not take at what point does it get too high, Jeff? I mean, is that an accurate? That's not a true line. Chiefs minus 6. We're reacting to what we've seen the first couple weeks.
We tend to react to the last thing that happened, and the last thing that happened was awesome.
The last 2 things, yeah.
Went into Pittsburgh and just blasted the Steelers, and a week before that they beat the Chargers 2-0.
This is an opposite thing too, where Pat Mahomes, he's not overlooking anybody. He's just stoked to be playing and have a job, so he's just learning how to prepare. So he's not overlooking this team at all. He's just, all right, this work week 1, this work week 2, what can we do this week?
10 touchdowns in 2 weeks.
Yeah, because it's funny because they overlooked, like, Kelsey got 1 catch for like 6 yards, and they're like, oh, my God, what happened to Kelsey? Well, they didn't need him. He can decoy, and you can guard him, and then they're going to use this guy. Well, then this week, there's Kelsey, there's Sammy Watkins, Tyreek's over there taking a break, there's Kareem Hunt. They have weapons, and they're very creative, like the Rams and a couple of these other teams where they're very creative on offense, where they create plays. They're not stoic like the Ravens and the Lions and some of these the Giants that are just drop back and, hey, I'll wait for you to get open. They don't do that. They create open plays. It's pretty cool to watch, but there's no defense.
Chiefs already a quarter away to their win total. Win total here at the South Point closed at 8. They are 2-0, and the overprice there, minus 125 to go over 8. In a pretty good spot. Chiefs now 15-1 to win the Super Bowl and 7-1 to win the conference. Although those odds, that has to be opening odds, right? Or closing odds. That's current. I can get 15-1 on the Chiefs right now.
Listen, we see this all the time, though, with this team and Andy Reid. They start off hot and they drop like 6 or 7 in a row. Will it be any different with Pat Mahomes opposed to Alex Smith? Who knows? But we're used to this with this team.
I have odds here from the MGM. Jeff Hoose able to supply these odds. These are odds to win the divisions in the National Football League. And the Patriots, who have a loss, 1-1, usually really good, though, off a loss. Patriots to win the East, minus $8, which feels a little cheap, honestly. Dolphins plus 450, Jets 10-1, and the Bills, that's not a typo, right? 200-1 on the Bills to win the AFC East. That's awesome. AFC North, Steelers plus 120, Bengals plus 220.
Steelers aren't winning that division.
Ravens plus 250? Question mark?
You can take the Steelers off and then just go with any one of the other 3.
Browns 12-1. AFC South, Jags minus $2, Titans 5-1, Texans 6-1, the Colts also 6-1. A lot of people believing in the Colts after a nice performance against the Redskins. And the AFC West, Chiefs minus 110, Chargers plus 180, the Broncos plus 260, and the John Gruden-led Oakland Raiders 18-1. Josh,
we're getting good value on the Chargers now. I like the 180. The Chiefs will fade. That's for sure. They're going to fade. The Broncos have proven that they're just not it. And then the Raiders, really.
Jeff, are the Jags that good in the South?
Yeah, again, reacting to the last thing we saw, and the last thing we saw is them beating the Patriots. We've also done this every time the Patriots lose a game in the first 3 weeks of the season. We throw dirt on them, and we've been doing it for about 15 years. And then they come back and they rattle off, 8 or 10 in a row.
And then they go get Josh Gordon.
Hey, you mentioned the Chargers, Josh. You got to tell me about this because I know you played in Baltimore, and I know when the Yankees or Red Sox would come to town, it could feel like a road game.
It was.
How discouraging is that if you're the Chargers? And I saw a picture last week of Kansas City in San Diego, and it looked like when you're filming a movie and you can't go to the actual location. So, like in Major League, they dress up Milwaukee to look like Cleveland. It looked like we dressed up Carson, California to look like Kansas City. We just dressed everyone and all the extras in red. And I said, like, how discouraging is that as the home athlete?
I'm telling you what, I'm just picturing back in like 01 and 02 being in Baltimore and having the Yankees come in, and it was like we had our fans, and they're great, obviously some of the best fans in the world, but you couldn't find them because all the Yankee fans come in, and you do something in the game in like the 7th inning, and you're getting booed. And you're like, wait a minute, what's going on? Or the Yankees do something, they're getting cheered, and you're like, this shouldn't happen. Like, and you have to really look up to go, are we really at home? Like, you forget that. It's not a comfortable feeling, and then you have your fans trying to outvoice their fans and try to cheer, and then it just gets swamped, and the Yankees fans come on top, and it's crazy. You do feel bad, and it's almost like, all right, what they did in the postseason in Washington, it was like, all right, we're not going to allow any of those dudes to come in and buy any seats. None of the Vegas fans can buy seats. It's only going to be Washington fans, and it almost like sometimes you have to do that because it is crazy discouraging.
I have odds for the NFC teams if you so choose. NFC East, these are from the MGM. They win the divisions. Eagles, -150, and they get Carson Wentz back this weekend, week 3. Cowboys +320, Redskins 6-1, Giants 8-1. Oh,
they get Jordan Matthews back as well.
Eagles do, yes they do.
They do.
Giants need a couple Jordan Matthews in that lineup.
4 of them.
NFC South, Falcons +150, Saints 2-1. The Buccaneers, who I believe, Jeff, at one point at your place were like 10 or 12-1 to win the South. Now they're 3-1, and the Panthers are +350. Tampa Bay.
Hold on. I understand they're 2-0. I understand what they've done, and they beat 2 really good teams. But does that line change based on money came in, or you guys are like, oh, nope, got to change this?
I don't think it's based on money coming in and anticipating future money coming in. I don't think it's based on the understanding that the Buccaneers are going to win the Super Bowl this season. Although I like that Fitzpatrick looks like a grizzled sea captain because I think the Buccaneers should have a quarterback that looks like a pirate.
People are actually asking, should they bench this guy? I said, look at him. You're going to bench this guy with this swag right now?
Yeah. All their players should look like pirates. And like Captain Munnerlin should have to play for the Buccaneers. He shouldn't be allowed to be on the Panthers.
Captain Munnerlin.
That's awesome.
NFC South, we just gave you those odds. And then finally, the NFC North, Vikings -110, Packers +160, Bears 6-1 now. What? Lions 15-1. And the NFC West. Do I even have to give odds on this? Rams -1,000 already.
Division's over.
Niners 6-1, Seahawks 12-1, and the Cardinals are 50-1. Jorge.
Jeff, how much of the Bears' money did you get in Week 1 during that first game versus Week 2 when they actually won the game? I mean, I felt like the odds changed dramatically in-game during that Bears-Packers game more than they did during the Week 2 game.
You know what kind of game that first game was? It was the game where you were texting people you knew from Chicago during the first half of that game. I think you got one from me.
You did text me.
Yes, and it was that kind of experience where the perception of that team from an hour before that game to the middle of that game had changed, where the money was coming in on them. And then, the next half happened, and it kind of went off the rails. But they were getting pounded all day long on Monday against Seattle, and they look strong.
Yeah, some books closed them at 5 in town. Open 3, got bet to 5, and now Mitch Trubisky and the Bears are road favorites. Road favorites of almost a touchdown. They got to win by 7 to cover this weekend.
I don't trust him.
I don't know about that. Josh Towers, Jeff Hoose, Sam Panayotovich. We have baseball to talk about next, but something that happened a lot last season continues to happen in hockey. We'll fill you in next on VSiN.
It's a numbers game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, @BeatingTheBook and @VSiNLive.
66% of men lose their lettuce by age 35. Lose your lettuce? What do you lose your hair? That's what we're talking about. You got to keep your hair. Thing is, when you start to notice this lettuce loss, usually you're too late to the lettuce party. Easier to keep the lettuce you have than to replace the lettuce you've... All right, I'll stop saying lettuce. If the hairline starts to move back or the bald spot begins to pop up, you got to do something. You got to take your time, and you have to make the right decision and find the right solution. And the solution here at VSiN is forhims.com, FORHIMS.com. It's a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, even sexual wellness. Anything a man needs, he can find it at forhims.com. Because thanks to science, baldness can be optional. Real doctors, medical-grade solutions, they want to help you keep your hair, and that's what's really important. No waiting room either, no awkward visits with the doctor. Save time and save money by going now to FORHIMS.com. It's so easy. Answer a couple questions. Doctor reviews and prescribes you on the spot, and then they ship those products right to your door. If you order now, you get a try a month of Hims for only $5 while supplies last. It will cost hundreds if you went elsewhere. Go now to forhims.com/numbers, forhims.com/numbers, forhims.com/numbers.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
I want to thank you for dropping by. I also
pleasure.
want to wish you the best of luck. Not to mention I've got a ticket in my pocket on you.
I got to tell you something real quick before you wrap up. I can't tell you how many times I get fans that come to me and they say, "Hey, Brad, good to see you. Do well today." And I say, "Oh, thanks, I was." I say, "No, I mean it. Do well. I got money on you." Let me promise you, anyone here today listening or in this room, no one has more money on my finish today than me.
Thank you.
So I am properly motivated.
Excellent.
But they're replacing a 4,100-yard passer in Sam Darnold, who started his first game of his NFL career, a 1,500-yard rusher in Ronald Jones, an 1,100-yard receiver in Deontay Burnett. So, you know, guys like that, even though they've got the true freshman receiver and obviously the true freshman quarterback in J.T. Daniels, it's going to take some time. These guys don't just automatically come in there and plug in. But I don't think either one of them are just real close. But I would have to say USC is maybe a little bit closer to national prominence at this point than Texas.
But I'll start with one that I did bet earlier in the week that's still available, is Iowa State at plus 17.5. My number's 13.38, and so when you're getting Matt Campbell's team with that big of an edge in the numbers, and Kyler Murray's first road test on the road, I know a lot of people are going to hype up. I think it was last year when Iowa State went into Oklahoma and actually upset the Sooners, and it's a revenge spot or whatever. I think that's why maybe it's partially inflated in the market. I just think the number's way too high. Similar, I guess UCLA last week having this massive number against Oklahoma, which they wound up covering too. So I'm totally fine having Iowa State getting 17.5.
It's a Donald Ross design, so ball strikers usually prosper here. Some of the past winners of the Tour Championship, Henrik Stenson, Justin Rose, also Rory McIlroy. So you're looking at a lot of the ball striker types and guys that keep it straight, hit it in the fairway, and hit a lot of greens. So that's really what you're looking at for the Tour Championship, and kind of the one that stood out to me. I mean, with only 30 players in the field, you're probably going to end up on somebody somewhat chalky.
Back to a numbers game with your host, Gil Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
8:23 in Las Vegas, make it 8:24 on the screws, 11:24 out east. Josh Towers, Jeff Hoose from the Aria, and Sam Panayotovich. Just like it was all last season, right? Same as it ever was. Vegas Golden Knights, 2 preseason hockey games. 7-2 nights, 5-1 nights. Knights puck line, over. It's like a recurring nightmare for you bookmakers, is it not?
Yep, it's hockey and bad decisions. That's what Vegas does.
I keep hearing from bookmakers, we're rooting for them. I know we want to see them do well, and I'm sure you do for the growth of the city, and it's good for pro sports in Vegas, but you guys are getting murdered.
And it's a little different in the company I work for because they're a partner in the building, so that thing filling up for 10 postseason dates where it just would have been dark probably wasn't the worst thing.
Spoken like a true company man. My God. Listen to that. Again, Knights over, puck line over. It never ends with this team.
They're trying to find that balance.
7-2, 5-1. They just pick up right where they left off. Jorge?
Hey, Jeff, earlier in the week, Jeff Sherman from the Westgate was on, and he told us that it's been monstrous, the amount of action they're getting on the Golden Knights futures. How is it at your book, considering that you have so many properties around town? Are you taking a ton of Golden Knights action? Is it moderated with some of the East Coast fans that you have coming to the Mirage and your other properties? How is it right now?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. There's more liability than there would have ever been in a hockey situation before last year. But yeah, it's not as pronounced, I think, as it is over there.
Let's talk a little baseball here, boys. We got Major League Baseball tonight. A lot of American League games that are of relevance, including one in the American League East. Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees. This pitching matchup 3 months ago would have got everybody really excited, but now it's like, oh, all right, well, who is Luis Severino? He's at home. He's only a $1.60 favorite David Price plus 150. Total on the game is 8. Opened 8.5. So we've seen some money, Josh, on the under so far. Severino 17-8 now.
I thought you were gonna say something else.
What did you think I was gonna say?
I just thought you were gonna. I don't know. The fact that the totals. I'm not good with totals, but the fact that this has gone down is crazy to me. Severino's given up 3 or more in 10 of his last 12. He's 0-2 with a 6.48 this month. 4 times versus the Sox. I mean, I know he doesn't want to pitch in Boston, but too good, too bad. And David Price, I know this kid's had a really good year, and I'm not a David Price fan for all the negative things I've said against him in his life. He's having an awesome year, but he's 0-5 with a 10.44 at Yankee Stadium since joining the Red Sox. He cannot pitch at this stadium. He is scared on top of everything else. How you can bet? Listen, I can't back the Sox, but if he's going to be giving up runs, Severino's not doing well. This total coming down. Are they just taking a shot? Are we flipping a coin? What are we doing here?
I'm not sure. Let's ask the bookmaker on the set.
Yeah, I mean, he's stepped up in the second half of the season when Sale got hurt. 1.56 ERA the second half of the season. He's been the ace since Sale had his issues. But like you said, Josh, 12.19 ERA versus the Yankees just this season. And as good a season as he had, 12 against the Yankees. But Severino, what do you do with this guy right now? He had a quality start in his last start, but that's after like a 61-inning stretch where he had an ERA over 6. So you don't know what you're going to get with him. We talked about it last time, Josh. We were talking off air. Is it dead arm? What's going on with him? Is he...
He lost his confidence along the way, which I'm actually shocked. I thought that he was going to be able to last. I thought that he would be the ace that would last. He lost his confidence, and then he really hasn't understood how to get back to it. Now, he's still very young, so he's forcing pitches instead of backing off. There's an old saying, slower and lower when things get in trouble. Well, most of us go harder, and it ends up being higher, and which is a negative thing, and he hasn't backed off. I was showing you during the break with my arm angle. I was like, look at Blake Snell. It's like where he releases it, the ball's not even close to where the hitters are hitting it. He throws such downhill. The ball's never in the same spot. It's different for Severino where he releases it. It's staying there because he's, in my opinion, he's forcing pitches. So until he's willing to back off and not throw 99, he's willing to throw 97, God forbid, and go back down in the zone, he's going to have a lot of success. And once I get back downhill, now my changeup can fall below it. Now my breaking ball can fall below it, and then I have a ton of success. He hasn't got back to that, and I'm surprised with the pitching coach. I'm surprised with CC Sabathia. I'm surprised with some of the veterans that he hasn't been able to back off yet.
When you say slower and lower, I'm reminded of a longtime family friend, Richie Stelmajic, who used to be the bullpen coach for the Twins. He used to say that about Kyle Loesch all the time. He'd say if he doesn't go slower and lower, he's going to throw hard and get hit harder.
Yes.
And there was one start in Boston where he said if he doesn't go slow and low, he's going to throw it hard, and it's going to get hit harder. And David Ortiz hit a ball to Cape Cod in that game in Fenway. You've got to go low and slow because when you try and speed things up, you leave balls up, like you said.
Yeah, we flatten out. We try to do too much. We release it behind us instead of getting that extended position. Our strides get a little too long. Elbow gets low. It's a very bad thing. And that's why, Maddox, going back to Greg Maddox being, probably the greatest we've ever seen, he always had that quote where he's like, I can throw harder, but why? I'd rather locate. Well, that's got to be the philosophy if you want to be successful. And I think that's why we see more starters successful than relievers, because they have to do that in order to face somebody 3 to 4 times, where relievers don't do that. But that's the only way you're going to be successful, because you will not throw it by major league hitters for any length of time.
Looking at the betting boards now, a pitching change in Seattle, now undecided. So this game has been pulled off the board. Dallas Keuchel's going for the Astros.
I had Matt Festa. Is he not going today? Did they back him?
It now says undecided, and the game has been pulled off the board. So we can't give you odds on that one. But Dallas Keuchel will go at home for Houston. Odds are good. He'll be about a $2 favorite or more, and we'll let you know if anything comes across about a new pitcher for Seattle. And the last game of relevance in the American League involves those Oakland Athletics, who give it to lefty Brett Anderson, minus 135 at home against Felix Pena and the Angels. Total here, JT, 8.5.
How close is Tampa Bay going to make this? How close? Listen, Pena's 6 innings or more in 5 straight. 20 innings, 1 walk, 3 earned runs this month. This kid's been dealing. And Anderson, he's been struggling. 2 1/3 and 3 1/3 his last 2 starts, 9 runs combined. No walks, no home runs, which is kind of crazy, which means that he's given up a ton of hits. So if Oakland keeps fading, I mean, can Tampa make this close?
4 in a row, 8-2 their last 10, Jeff.
Yeah, A's are suddenly in the midst of their first 3-game losing streak since July. It's a wrong time for a slump, and Anderson's struggling with them. Lost his last 2 starts in very short outings, so A's need to snap out of this now. Final homestand of the season. It is not the time for a lengthy losing streak.
That would be a catastrophic collapse. A 5.5 game lead with 11 to go. If you blow that one. By the way, just for entertainment purposes, as Jeff Hoose likes to say, 250 to 1 on the Rays to win the pennant.
Yeah, because getting into the postseason.
I'm just telling you, these are the numbers.
But if they got in,
if
the postseason starting today and the Rays are in, what are they?
They're behind the Yankees and the Red Sox.
They're a baseball team from Tampa.
Yes.
That's what they are.
They're a well-coached team.
Astros and Red Sox.
Dangerous because no one knows their name.
They're the scrappy underdogs who never beat anyone that matters. The Twins of the A's usually play that role every year.
Here are your pennant futures at the South Point. Red Sox plus 160, Astros plus 240, Athletics plus 250, Yankees plus 380, Indians plus 380, and then the Mariners 200. Oh, South Point says even less respect, 300 to 1 on the Rays.
Look at the Mariners are up there, and they're better than the Rays. The Mariners have been out for 2 months. They're done.
They're below the Rays in the standings. Jorge?
Paulie Howard from the morning show, he got 1,000 to 1 2 weeks ago for the Rays to win the pennant at William Hill. 1,000 to 1 2 weeks ago.
It's not a bad bet. Not a bad bet. Not a bad price. 1,000 to 1 now.
It's almost fun.
300 to 1. We'll see. Long way to go. Got to climb out of that 5.5 game hole.
If they go undefeated the rest of the year, this is interesting.
Up next, it's time to play Yes, Please, Josh, the ever-growing game here at VSiN. That's next here on A Numbers Game.
It's a numbers game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, @BeatingTheBook and @VSiNLive.
I'm Brent Musburger, reminding you that the football betting season is here. There is nothing like it. Are you ready to celebrate the thrill of victory and cash a ticket even on defeats? Sharpen your edge now with the help of Matt Humans, Dave Tooley, and the rest of my guys in the desert. We'll get you prepared for the football season with exclusive handicapping stories and data that you won't find anywhere else. Go to vsin.com/subscribe for the package that makes sense for you, including a 1-week trial at no charge. Our new all-access subscription includes Point Spread Weekly, VSiN's digital magazine designed to make you a better handicapper and avoid the agony of defeat. You'll also get VSiN's 140-plus page college football betting guide, followed by our comprehensive pro football betting guide in August. Sign up now, vsin.com/subscribe. That's vsin.com/subscribe. Remember, cashing tickets is what it's all about.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
Let's go for it. I'm going to go with Canelo. I'm going to say that the first time he went in with all the other stuff, I laid it all out there because you got to see it all. But the first time, he didn't know if he belonged going into that fight. I'll say it again. He didn't know. But he won some of the late rounds. Why? Because he started to realize, yeah, you know what? I fit in here. Yeah, you know what? I belong. Yeah, you know what? I'm okay. And he's going to take, I would say, as a trainer, he should take that information, that confidence, and take it into the next fight where he knows early on that he belongs. He doesn't have to spend half of the fight finding out. And you know the psychological part of this business, 75% of it.
Here's another thing for you. Derek Carr, this could be his last season with the Raiders. They've got an out after this year. It's $7.5 million in dead money next season if they cut him. It's essentially a 2-year deal, $46 million. They owe him, I think, $19 million, fully guaranteed on the third day of the league year in 2019, which is March 15th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not going to be the least bit surprised if this doesn't work out, if they go ahead and dump him in the offseason so Gruden can get his guy.
Minnesota is going to be favored by 1 million here. 2 touchdowns is not enough. If it were 17, let me just jump to 17. Would people still bet the Vikings? No, they wouldn't. That would be a point of resistance. So it's somewhere in between 14 and 15. I as a sort of just a just mechanical thing, go 14.5, but I'm guessing it's going to be higher than that. It's somewhere in between the 14.5 and the 17. I don't know. I'll just throw out a number. I don't know. 16?
16 is what I'm going to open it, and that's...
See how we did that, though? That's a very mechanical way of figuring that out.
But I'll tell you this. if the Hurricane does roll in and they play, but it like comes in light, and they play those games on Saturday, and any of the teams around here are home, mash the under, because every one of those games went under by an insane. Like, it wasn't even close. Like that NC State Notre Dame game, I mean, Deshaun Kaiser's got a cannon. He might not be the most accurate guy in the world, but he's got a cannon. He couldn't complete anything. And I would anticipate that the local games will stay under if they end up being played.
Back to a numbers game with your host, Gil Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
That's Jeff Hoose on piano. Josh Towers, your favorite segment. Yes, please, Josh. My name is Sam Panayotovich, by the way, on VSiN, in for Gil Alexander on a numbers game. And these are tweets from the mind of Josh Towers at No Don't Josh. And this first one already, I'm trying not to laugh. Bullpens, it can't be a season-long thing. Switch out players, make adjustments. Orioles, did you not develop anyone or get anyone in the trades? Seriously. And Mets, put a system in place to help. Y'all are better than this.
Yeah, listen, that's what I was saying about Walker Buehler. Like, who did the Orioles get in all these trades? Because I haven't seen anybody get anybody out in the bullpen or anybody anywhere else yet. No one's hitting on the team. Every year, when I was with the Orioles, we had the worst developing system in baseball, and it really hasn't looked like it's changed too much. They've only developed a handful of guys, and then they lose them and get nothing in return. So I really question what they do. And when I was coaching with the Mets, the minor league system has this awesome throwing program in place that puts these guys in such a great position to have success. And now I'm watching the bullpen just fail nonstop, and I can't figure out what it is. Are we doing something different in the big leagues? And that's the thing. We watched the Cardinals make an adjustment, Jeff, and guess what happened? They had success, but we're watching these teams not willing to, and they continue to lose. I don't understand it.
I love how you spelled develop.
Oh, yeah. Listen, that's a whole other story.
You spelled it like envelope.
You go after the English language like it's Alex Rodriguez standing too close to the plate.
I just picture how mad you are. Like, you're so mad when you send these tweets out, are you not?
Sometimes all I think is Jorge, and then I'm like, oh, watch this. That's all I think.
Tweet number 2, at No Don't Josh. Watch the Major League batter today make a mistake on defense, make a base running mistake, and make a mistake batting all in one game. And yes, it cost his team runs and helped in losing the game. Never seen that trifecta before in one game. So what happened here?
Well, we took a bad route on a ball, and it gets by him. So that had a leadoff double, I think, and they were up 1 at the time. He may have been on second base with no outs, and a ball hit to first base. Now, here's my problem with this. Anytime a ball hits your left, if you're on second base, you go to third, right? At you or your left. That's a rule of thumb. But when the first baseman the day before plays in and catches a ground ball and throws your runner out at third base because he set you up, then maybe you actually pay attention to that. So the very next day, this kid's on second base with no outs. The first baseman plays in. Instead of looking and seeing what happened, the same exact play, he's thrown out at third base by 45 feet. He gets in this baby rundown. He's waving his guy to second base. He gets thrown out of second base, double play. It was I for the life of me, I've never seen it. And then obviously, striking out with runners on third base and less than 2 outs. This is crazy. I've never seen a guy do all 3 aspects of the game in one game.
That means something because I thought you used to work for the Mets. I would have think you would have seen that before at some point.
I focus on the pitching.
Hey, Josh, when you see something like that, how does it affect your betting going forward? I mean, do you change your approach to a specific team, or do you just put it off as a one-day blip and that's it?
Like last night with Arenado, I want to put it off as a one-day blip because he had one of the worst games I've ever seen, and it did help cost him the game. In this particular case with this guy and this team, no, this is a season-long thing that I just stay away from completely.
At No Don't Josh, tweet number 3, Bryce Harper, 5 walks today. 3rd highest on-base percentage of his career this year with his 2nd lowest batting average. So he's not hitting well, but he's still getting on base. And Josh Towers writes, yeah, I'll take him on my team, and I'll pay him. Team sport. Support him with a hitter, and runs will be scored.
Yeah, Manny Ramirez wasn't the easiest guy to get out, but when David Ortiz was not near him, it was a lot easier. And same thing with David Ortiz. He's a little bit easier to get out when Manny Ramirez wasn't backing him up. Bryce Harper, people are down on him because of his batting average, even though since the All-Star break he's been phenomenal. Yeah, it's low, but who cares? I know it's the only thing you put on TV, but he gets on base a lot, and that's the key. Your job is to do something successful when you get up there. You don't always have to hit a home run. That's why you have Zim behind him. That's why you used to have Murph behind him. That's why you have other players, so that when they're afraid to pitch to Bryce, they have to pitch to you, because there's no way I can pitch around two people in a row. So when you put somebody near him that can actually help him, this dude is as valuable as he gets in baseball.
Looking at that, a question for both you, Jeff, and Josh. Josh, do you bet on whatever team he goes to next year? Because it's pretty evident he's not going to stay in Washington, right? And Jeff, what do you do to the odds with him moving? How much does he impact the line?
Quite a bit, but I think he's going to go to a team that's already going to be one of the chalk favorites. You're going to see him, I mean, most realistically on the Cubs, Dodgers, or Yankees, right?
I have global odds, if you so choose, entertainment purposes only. Next team to land Bryce Harper, Cubs plus 150.
The Phillies.
Nationals plus 250. Phillies 3-1. Dodgers plus 350.
Yeah, Jeff's right. I mean, he's going to go to a winning team. He's not going to go on. He's not going to pull a LeBron and go to the Lakers and try to rebuild. He's
not going to the Marlins?
He's definitely not. You get 6 fans at the stadium. I don't know what you're going to afford over
How about
there.
the Reds?
I don't even know what that is.
You can go to Skyline Chili with Matt Harvey.
Last tweet from @NoDon'tJosh, and this one's, we can tell you're excited because you hit caps lock in the beginning.
I just learned this. This is awesome. Let's see how I used it, Jorge. Awesome.
Caps lock, breaking news, 2 exclamation points, then like 6 spaces. NFL quarterbacks to wear red jerseys during games.
That's self-explanatory.
Well, this is easy. I know why you said this, because there have been 21 roughing the passer penalties in 2 weeks.
You can't touch these guys. I wish Flacco would pay attention to that. I wish he understood that they're not allowed to touch you and actually stand up there and throw a ball to your receiver, and then, maybe you get a penalty. It would help.
If I was a quarterback, Jeff, I'd do 2 things. One, I would hold on to the football as long as I could, throw it at the very last minute. And 2, I'd just throw the ball downfield 35 yards to play. Odds are good you get a flag at least a third of the time.
Yeah, we're there at that point. And there's a number of receivers that are getting pretty good at almost making plays, and you'll see them run downfield, kind of run into somebody, fall over, act like they were about to catch it, and shrug.
Tell me these penalties don't have something to do with the fact that we've seen more touchdown passes so far this year than we've almost seen in the history of the game. I mean, it's crazy. It's like, 68 or something like that since the season started, and these guys can't get touched. They don't have to run the ball anymore. They just throw it because I'm so protected. And you can't tackle anybody. A receiver runs across the middle of the field. That's an automatic penalty. It's crazy.
There are so many points, but you also have your Cardinals teams and your Jets teams that aren't going to score. Well, the Jets had a lot.
The Cardinals didn't even try. They didn't even try. They never tried one thing.
Let me just read off these scores. These are Week 2 scores. NFL 34-23, 31-24, 31-20, 29-29. Now Texas and Titans was low scoring, 20-17. Saints and Browns 21-18. Dolphins Jets 20-12. But then we go back to the high scoring games: 42-37. 27-21, 30-27, 31-20, 24-17, a couple unders in there, and it all evens out over time, but we are seeing a lot of explosions with good teams and a lot of duds with a lot of bad teams. I mean, the game, what was the game? Dolphins, Jets 20-12. Oh, and the Colts and Redskins 21-9.
Yeah, there was nothing going on there.
That was an ugly game. Jorge?
Jeff, isn't this what fans want, though? I mean, the NFL is giving fans what they want. Everybody comes into your shop, bets the overs, right? The general fans bet overs. They want to see scores. They want to see big plays. Isn't the NFL just giving fans what they want right now?
If you diminish the significance of those plays, do they really mean anything? Like if you cheapen the offense, does it really mean the same thing? I mean, it's because it's the game evolves, and from one generation to the next, it doesn't necessarily look the same. But, you look at, you want to look at the statistics of the quarterbacks. Like, Dan Marino put up modern era statistics, and he played in an era where you could, throw the quarterback down a flight of stairs.
It's so true. But you're right. So the fans want to see more runs scored in baseball, more points scored in football. But yet the fans are complaining about these penalties. You don't listen to the fans. They don't know what they want. All they want is their team to win their fantasy and maybe win a bet. You can't listen to them. That's the reality. I'm a fan, and I'm mad that you can't tackle somebody in football. What's the point of the sport then?
How about when it decides the outcome of the game, too?
That's what I'm saying.
Like that Clay Matthews penalty, he couldn't have played it any better. He hits him right when Cousins lets go of the ball. It gets picked off. If that play stands the way it should have, Packers win that football game. Mm-hmm. But we throw a flag, and it ends up being a 29-29 tie. It's just
to throw a flag because my bosses are looking down on me is crazy, knowing that that's not a penalty, but I have to do this is insane.
Mitch and Paul had this prop, and we can do this for entertainment purposes only. 5.5 is the total win number, I guess, on the Bills and the Arizona Cardinals combined.
5.5.
I didn't think the Cardinals were this bad.
I didn't either. I bet over 5.5.
The Bills, I thought. I didn't think listen, the Bills changed one. Well, they lost a lineman, they lost a quarterback, and they're this bad from a playoff team. That's crazy to me. The Cardinals, I didn't think were this bad. They're so afraid to do anything. I don't understand it.
It's time for the kid.
It's not going to make a difference if they're not. I mean, Sam Bradford didn't throw a ball past, like I said, maybe 8 yards. I don't know. They never tried anything. So what are they just going to put the kid in and him not try anything either? Like, at some point, you got to, like, in essence, give yourself a chance. They didn't even do that.
How would you bet that? 5.5. Heavy juice on the under. Under minus 150. These are combined wins for the Bills and for the Cardinals.
So if they each win 3 games, you're over.
Yes.
That whole any given Sunday thing, I feel like
you need 6 any given Sundays.
Out of 32 games.
Off of 2 teams. I got to take the over, too.
Yeah, I have to take the over.
Bills win total was 6, and the Cardinals win total was 5.5. So the adjusted number is 5.5.
That's an overreaction. I take the over.
Pre-flop was 11.5. Jorge?
Mitch and Paulie talked about this with Nick Bogdanovich, and it's available at William Hill. The over, it opened up a little bit juicier, but now it's at plus 120. The under, minus 140. Does that change how you guys would bet this?
I'd still take the over. I think the Cardinals win this weekend, and that is not a very popular opinion. Mitch Trubisky on the road might
Didn't
go down.
you pick him to win the division?
The fact that we're thinking about this is crazy. Like
5.5
on 2 teams, and then they're not named the Browns.
Yeah,
man.
And you've got 28 shots left. You need to get 6 out of 28.
If they can't combine for 6,
everybody needs to get fired.
Well said. Josh Towers, Jeff Hoose, Sam Panayotovich. Up next, a daily pick from Mark Borchard, and we'll wrap up all our stuff here on a numbers game. By the way, you were right. Matt Festa is starting for the Seattle Mariners. The price, Keuchel minus 210 globally as of right now.
It's a numbers game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, @BeatingTheBook and @VSINLive.
If you want an edge over Las Vegas and the sports books, odds are good. That's why you're listening to us here on VSiN. BetQL, available for download right now. It is the only app that puts all the important research you need to make smart bets in one place. BetQL gives you powerful data at your fingertips, and with BetQL, you can easily and quickly access line movement to see how those lines have moved all throughout the day. The app also gives you access to public betting trends in real time. You can see where the public is at and where the wise guys are at. BetQL built a powerful algorithm that gives users value bets of the day based off of detailed recent and historical team trends. And the best part of it all with BetQL, you can download it right now for free from your Apple or Android device. All you have to do is head to BetQL.co, download the only app you need to outsmart Vegas. That is BetQL.co. BetQL.co. So good you don't need the M. BetQL.co. BetQL brought to you by the creators of RotoQL, the leading daily fantasy lineup optimizer trusted by 100,000 DFS players. You can also download RotoQL for free. They're cousins. BetQL, RotoQL. Check them both out right now for free for both Apple and Android. If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
I want to thank you for dropping by. I also want to wish you the best of luck. Not to mention, I've got a ticket in my pocket on you.
I got to tell you something real quick before you wrap up. I can't tell you how many times I get fans that come to me and they say, "Hey, Brad, good to see you. Do well today." And I say, "Oh, thanks, I was." I say, "No, I mean it. Do well. I got money on you." Let me promise you, anyone here today listening or in this room, no one has more money on my finish today than me.
Thank you.
So I am properly motivated.
Excellent.
But they're replacing a 4,100-yard passer in Sam Darnold, who started his first game of his NFL career, a 1,500-yard rusher in Ronald Jones, an 1,100-yard receiver in Deontay Burnett. So, you know, guys like that, even though they've got the true freshman receiver and obviously the true freshman quarterback in JT Daniels, it's going to take some time. These guys don't just automatically come in there and plug in. But I don't think either one of them are just real close. But I would have to say USC is maybe a little bit closer to national prominence at this point than Texas.
But I'll start with one that I did bet earlier in the week that's still available, is Iowa State at plus 17.5. My number is 13.38, and so when you're getting Matt Campbell team with that big of an edge in the numbers, in Kyler Murray's first road test on the road, I know a lot of people are going to hype up. I think it was last year when Iowa State went into Oklahoma and actually upset the Sooners, and it's a revenge spot or whatever. I think that's why maybe it's partially inflated in the market. I just think the number is way too high. similar, I guess UCLA last week having this massive number against Oklahoma, which they wound up covering too. So I'm totally fine having Iowa State getting 17.5.
It's a Donald Ross design, so ball strikers usually prosper here. Some of the past winners of the Tour Championship, Henrik Stenson, Justin Rose, also Rory McIlroy. So you're looking at a lot of the ball striker types and guys that keep it straight, hit it in the fairway, and hit a lot of greens. So that's really what you're looking at for the Tour Championship, and kind of the one that stood out to me. I mean, with only 30 players in the field, you're probably going to end up on somebody somewhat chalky.
Back to a numbers game with your host, Gil Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
Gil is back tomorrow, or so I'm told. I am not yet on the schedule on Thursday.
He's back. He's in Mississippi today. He'll be back tomorrow.
You're not supposed to say where he's at. That's part of the mystery. It's like the Carmen Sandiego thing. But now I guess we know he's in Mississippi.
He's actually with Jeff's boss over at MGM Properties over in Mississippi today.
Look at that. That's why Jeff Hoose is here. And that's why Josh Towers is here. Not really. And I'm Sam Panayotovich. Daily pick time with Mark Borchert from Clear Data Sports. Mark, Jorge says you're on a heater, my friend. He said you've made up a lot of ground in the last week or so. So what do you like tonight? Game of the day. You took the Rays on the run line with Blake Snell yesterday. He won his 20th game, so a good call there. Who do you like today in Major League Baseball?
I'm going to go with Philadelphia. We have the price, the base winner price is minus 119. You're getting plus 109. A couple really good stats in this one is Zach Eflin's expected weighted on base average .306. It equates to a 3.6 ERA. And then Syndergaard's been poor against Philly this year, 4.52 quick ERA versus Philly. I think you put all that together, I think Philly is a good play as a home dog today.
That's Zach Eflin at home, like you said, plus 108. If you had to pick a team right now, Mark, you're on the spot. National League West winner, who is it?
Oh, the Dodgers. We have them to win probably 70% of the time in our simulator. I think they're in good shape right now.
Mark's biased. He lives 40 minutes from Dodger Stadium.
He sounds like he's working out at Dodger Stadium right now.
He is.
70% of the time, you guys have the Dodgers winning the National League West. Wow. All right. That's Mark Borchert, Clear Data Sports, with the pick of the day. Again, it's the Philadelphia Phillies at a plus price of about 109. You can get a couple 109s globally. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. You guys have a great day.
Later, buddy.
Mark Borchert from Clear Data Sports. Okay, we have about 3 minutes left to go. It's only fitting that we wrap this sucker up with Thursday night football. I don't know, Jeff Hoose, whose idea at the conference table sitting around. I got an idea. Let's put the Jets and the Browns on Thursday night in Cleveland. Cleveland Browns are favored for the first time since 2015. It just looks weird.
I feel like Krusty the Clown yelling, I thought the Generals were due.
I remember that episode. That's when they beat or it's when the Globetrotters win by like 100, right?
Yes, he took all the money he made from franchising his name and bet against the Harlem Globetrotters.
Because he thought the Generals were due. Yeah. Cleveland Browns, if we look at the sharp action board here, opened up at 3. A couple offshore shops have 3.5. 3 mostly across Vegas. Josh Towers, Cleveland -3. Are you pulling that?
This is the game that should be on Thursday nights during the season. The only Thursday night game that should ever exist is the first one that starts the season. And past that, they should never exist anyway. So if you're going to put a game on Thursday, this is the one that you don't have that much interest in. Fantasy-wise, there's not that much interest in. Listen, the Browns should be favored in this game. The Jets is a complete overreaction. Listen, I like the Jets team. I thought that they did some pretty cool things last year. I like them a lot better at McCown at center, behind center, but listen, the Browns are a good football team. Hugh Jackson's still doing some pretty impressive things. I love the fact that they called Bailey and he goes, thanks but no thanks, and hangs up on him. So then they go sign a kicker who made 69% of his field goals in college, and I think it was like Conference USA or something. So I love the fact that they got an upgrade at kicker. That's awesome. But this team is better than the Jets, that's for sure.
-3 on the Cleveland Browns. I have to pick 5 every week for the Super Contest. I lean to Cleveland. I think that's the side, but at the end of the day, I just can't.
It's a home team on Thursday night. Football is not meant to be played in the middle of the week. the road team in those games is at a huge disadvantage.
The global total opened at 41, and right away it came crashing down. They're like, not enough.
Look
Need
how
39.
quickly the Ravens were in a hole last week. It got so out of hand so fast, and they couldn't. You just don't have enough time, man. It's just unfortunate.
You feel good about your Ravens on Sunday against the Broncos, -5?
Yeah, they're going to smash them, but they're also going to finally give Alex Collins the ball for about 25 times, and he's going to go off. So, they hopefully learn their lesson about you might want to mix in one of those good backs every now and again.
Telling you both right now, we've got about 10 seconds left. Be careful with Mitch Trubisky laying 6.5. Just be careful. Be careful laying 6.5.
You start backing your Bears the way you back your Sox.
And my Rockies. Josh Towers, Jeff Hoose, Racing Sports from the Aria. Good to see you, Jeff.
Great being here.
Josh, I'll see you soon. I'm Sam. That does it for us at A Numbers Game.
It's A Numbers Game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, @BeatingTheBook and @VSINLive.
I'm Brent Musburger, and I'd like to ask all of you business leaders out there, does your company want to reach men in the prime of their lives? Men with a sense of adventure and ample disposable income? You will be reaching a national audience that is 95% male, college educated, between ages 25 to 54, evenly distributed, making $100,000 a year or more, and visiting Las Vegas at least once a year. VSiN Advertising delivers results because we connect with our fans in so many ways: video, radio, newsletters, podcasts, email, and right here in person. That's right, come on and visit it at the South Point at the tip of the strip in Las Vegas.